The story opens on a bright, bustling day in the heart of the city. Amidst the crowd, a young man stands absorbed by his phone, waiting to cross the street. He taps away intently, his brow furrowed with a hint of irritation. His mother's texts are a list of chores and a stern warning to stay out of trouble. The signal finally changes, giving the crowd the green light to proceed. At the same time, an impatient friend messages him with an ultimatum for being late. Completely distracted, he collides with a stern-looking man in a suit. The man immediately berates him, forcing a quick and nervous apology. This final straw pushes him over the edge, his face darkening with silent rage. He lets out a weary sigh, desperately wishing for a life free from other people. His wish is granted in the worst way as a massive explosion erupts downtown. He and the surrounding crowd are thrown into a state of confusion and panic. A moment later, an unnatural bolt of lightning strikes a skyscraper from a suddenly darkened sky. The crowd's confusion turns to terror as they witness the impossible event. A second blast erupts in the middle of the street, sending cars flying. Absolute pandemonium breaks out as people desperately flee the cascading car pileup. The sky unleashes another blinding flash, targeting a second high-rise building. The top of the skyscraper explodes, showering the streets below with debris. Civilians on the ground scatter as the building's remnants crash down around them. The once bustling street is now a scene of destruction and despair. The sky unleashes a torrent of fiery projectiles, raining destruction upon the city. Entire city blocks are consumed by a series of devastating, earth-shattering explosions. The very ground splits open, tossing cars and people aside like discarded toys. Caught in the shockwave, he desperately shields himself from the concussive force. Pure survival instinct kicks in as he joins the terrified stampede through the rubble. A woman desperately flees into a subway entrance, her pleas for help lost in the noise. He spots her just as a large piece of falling debris hurtles towards her path. An out-of-control ambulance crashes nearby, adding to the mounting chaos on the streets. He collapses, overwhelmed by the nightmarish scene and unable to accept it as reality. Running blindly in a daze, he stumbles directly into the path of a speeding truck. His eyes widen in sheer terror as he realizes his fatal mistake. A blinding light flashes just before the moment of impact. In that split second, his expression shifts to one of steely resolve. But his resolve shatters as a new, strange light envelops him. He lets out a silent scream as his consciousness is violently torn away. A strange, golden energy streaks across a dark, unfamiliar cosmos. This mysterious bolt of power descends through the clouds toward an unknown destination. His eyes snap open, reflecting a world he doesn't recognize. He awakens with a gasp, finding himself in a dense, alien jungle. His heart pounds as the memory of the truck crash floods back, leaving him utterly bewildered. He lies on the jungle floor, his mind reeling as strange, unfamiliar sounds echo around him. His eyes widen in disbelief, struggling to process his impossible new surroundings. He looks up to see two moons in the night sky, orbited by bizarre, dragon-like birds. His heart hammers against his ribs as the terrifying reality of his situation sinks in. The alien cries from the sky send a fresh wave of panic through him. He stumbles to his feet in a murky swamp, alerted by a deep growl from the shadows. His jaw clenches in fear, sweat beading on his brow as he anticipates the unseen threat. A monstrous bear with glowing red eyes bursts from the trees, letting out a deafening roar. He watches in shock as a pack of wolves suddenly ambushes the massive beast in a flurry of violence. The savage memory fades, revealing he's recounting the tale to a calm, mysterious man in a doctor's coat. The doctor calmly recaps the unbelievable story of an alien world and clashing monsters. His patient listens with a shadowed face, haunted by the memories of his ordeal. The doctor questions his survival, discreetly jotting down a diagnosis of delusion and PTSD. The young man remains silent, a flicker of grim experience in his otherwise placid eyes. His mind flashes back to the savage clash, as the wolves relentlessly tore into the giant bear. The monstrous bear retaliated, raising a massive clawed paw to crush its attackers. It brought its full weight down, smashing one of the wolves with overwhelming force. Undeterred, the rest of the wolf pack charged forward in a blur of coordinated fury. They swarmed the colossal beast from all sides, a whirlwind of teeth and claws. Hiding behind rocks, he calmly watched the brutal spectacle unfold while eating. His meal is interrupted as a small, curious wolf-like creature wanders into his hiding spot. The creature stares at him with wide, innocent eyes, showing no signs of aggression. A jolt of pure terror runs through him, realizing he's been discovered by one of the pack. Without a second thought, he springs to his feet and bolts into the forest. He flees desperately through the dense woods, his lungs burning with exertion. He runs until the sun sets, the sky shifting from a fiery orange to a deep blue. Pushing past his limits, he continues his frantic escape through the alien landscape. His flight for survival becomes a blur of motion, crossing logs and uneven terrain. Finally, his body gives out and he collapses to the ground, gasping for air. A strange blue window materializes before him, announcing an increase in his stamina. He stares at the phantom window in utter disbelief, questioning what just happened. Distracted by the impossible sight, he stumbles over a rock in his path. His exhausted body tumbles forward, crashing down a steep, grassy embankment. He lets out a cry as he plummets uncontrollably toward the bottom of the slope. His fall is broken by a patch of thick, unfamiliar vegetation. He coughs and spits, clearing his mouth of the water and dirt from his rough landing. Catching his breath, he wonders if the voice he heard was just a hallucination. A bead of sweat rolls down his face as his confusion deepens, unsure of what is real. Pushing himself up, he finds himself standing in a field of strange, glowing red plants. He focuses on one of the large, perfectly round fruits unlike anything he's ever seen. Overcome by hunger, he desperately wonders if the strange red fruit is safe to eat. He spots a group of large ants feasting on one of the fruits, seemingly unharmed. Taking the ant's survival as a good sign, he decides to take the risk. He throws caution to the wind and begins ravenously devouring the alien fruit. Mid-bite, he suddenly freezes, a strange sensation stopping him cold. A subtle movement in the dense foliage nearby catches his undivided attention. He hears a distinct slithering sound from the tall grass, sending a chill down his spine. The reeds part slightly, confirming something large is moving stealthily toward him. His eyes widen in sheer terror as he realizes he stumbled into another predator's territory. A massive, reptilian eye peers through the grass, locking onto its newfound prey. A sudden, violent hiccup racks his body, his eyes wide with shock as he clutches the fruit. A colossal blue serpent burst from the water, soaring directly over his head in a terrifying arc. He can only stare up in stunned silence, his mind struggling to comprehend the new threat. But the serpent isn't after him, instead sinking its fangs into a giant amphibian beast. The impact of their clash sends a massive wall of water splashing towards the shore. Still hiccuping, he watches the brutal monster fight unfold with a dazed expression. He nonchalantly takes another bite of the fruit, unfazed by the life-or-death struggle before him. His body suddenly goes limp, and he collapses to the ground, realizing something is terribly wrong. As he loses consciousness, a heavy rain begins to fall, drenching the alien jungle. The downpour washes over the forest, creating a somber mood as he lies motionless on the ground. Rainwater gathers on a large leaf, a single drop poised to fall. The precious water trickles into his open mouth, a small mercy in this hostile world. He awakens tied to a makeshift shelter, marking his 67th day of survival. His stomach growls with a ferocious hunger, a constant gnawing pain. From a high vantage point, he spots the wolf pack still roaming the area, relentlessly hunting him. He remains on high alert, aware that the slightest lapse in focus could be his last. Knowing the forest is full of dangers beyond just the wolves, he decides he must find a safer place. The seasons change under the watchful eyes of two alien moons in the night sky. After a full year stranded, he discovers a strange, banana-like fruit hanging from a vine. He seizes the fruit with a firm grip, his survival instincts taking over completely. A blue window materializes, announcing his strength has increased by 1. With a surge of newfound power, he rips the enormous fruit from its vine. The massive fruit lands with a heavy thud on a tree branch, the sound echoing through the forest. He collapses onto his prize and begins to eat, feeling a sense of adaptation to his new life. His thoughts drift to the small wolf cub that has become his unlikely, persistent shadow. He's grown so fond of the cub that he now feels a strange sense of loneliness without it. While he eats, a strange white substance drips from above, landing squarely on his back. The unexpected sensation makes him pause, a flicker of confusion crossing his face. His confusion instantly turns to dread as he realizes the grave mistake he's just made. An enraged, gorilla-like monster crashes through the trees, roaring at the thief who stole its meal. The monster lets out a furious roar, its glowing eyes locked on the food thief. He braces himself, overwhelmed by the sheer force of the creature's deafening cry. With immense power, the beast smashes its fist onto the tree, shaking the entire canopy. Thinking on his feet, he swings away on a vine, narrowly escaping the monster's grasp with his prize. His relief is short-lived as the enraged beast hurls the massive tree trunk right at him. Just in the nick of time, his loyal wolf cub companion leaps into the fray. The gorilla lands heavily on the ground, its attention diverted by the sudden arrival. The small cub bravely slides in front of the colossal monster, ready to defend its friend. He turns back in astonishment, shocked to see his small companion confronting the beast. The gorilla monster slams its giant hand down, aiming to crush the defiant little wolf. The gorilla growls in confusion, realizing its powerful strike completely missed the tiny wolf. The cub staggers back, its leg pierced and bleeding from the impact. Ignoring the pain, the loyal companion snarls, refusing to back down from the giant threat. The monster's face contorts with fury, its glowing eyes fixed on the defiant cub. It unleashes another furious roar, raising its massive fist to finish the job. The cub barely dodges the devastating blow as the ground shatters beneath the monster's fist. Seizing the opportunity, he launches himself from the trees, a makeshift whip ready in his hands. He lands a vicious strike directly into the monster's eye, turning the tables in an instant. The beast bellows in excruciating pain from the unexpected and precise attack. Enraged and blinded, the gorilla grabs him with a crushing grip, tearing at his clothes. The monster uses its immense strength to hurl him away like a ragdoll. He smashes violently against a tree as his loyal cub rushes to his side. Catching his breath, he steadies himself on the ground, feeling the raw earth beneath his hand. Blinded by rage and pain, the gorilla monster charges forward with bloodthirsty intent. Leaning back, he smirks at his own reckless decision to challenge the beast. A memory surfaces of a concerned doctor questioning his past impulsive actions. He recalls his firm resolve, knowing he had to face this turf war eventually. The memory of the doctor remains silent, offering no judgment on his choice. He reaffirms his belief that in any territory, there is always a ruler to be challenged. The ground trembles as the colossal monster stomps closer, ready to end the fight. The beast lets out a final, agonizing cry, blinded and bleeding from the critical hit. He watches in shock as a massive white wolf, the pack leader, sinks its teeth into the monster's neck. The entire red wolf pack descends upon the gorilla, overwhelming it in a flurry of coordinated strikes. He recalls losing consciousness, believing the wolves would turn on him next. He realizes the pack spared him because they believed he was protecting their injured cub. It dawns on him that his small companion is the heir to the Wolf King, leader of the entire red wolf pack. A strange celestial event unfolds as the two moons appear to collide, shaking the very ground. The entire wolf pack begins a great migration, running along a high cliff under the eerie sky. Driven by some unknown instinct, the wolves race across the landscape with incredible speed. Now an accepted ally, he runs alongside the young wolf, a new journey beginning for them both. Exhausted, he struggles to keep pace with the relentless migration of the wolf pack. He pushes through the fatigue, running shoulder to shoulder with the massive white wolf. Noticing the young heir is struggling, he scoops it into his arms without breaking stride. A surge of adrenaline hits him as he runs with newfound vigor, a true member of the pack. As a wolf howls at the twin moons, he reflects that 2 years have now passed in this strange world. The rest of the pack joins in, their collective howls filling the night sky in a powerful chorus. Standing among them, he looks to the sky, realizing he's been fully accepted as one of their own. The scene flashes forward an incredible 29 years, showing him effortlessly scaling a sheer cliff. Decades later, he is a seasoned veteran of the wilderness, but still trapped within the forest confines. He admits he never found a way out, his life now a constant battle against monstrous beast. He laments his complete isolation, having never met another human in this world. As a full-fledged pack member, he joins his wolf brethren in taking down a giant serpent. The endless turf war for survival raged on, with the pack now hunting a monstrous boar. He fights as the alpha human, coordinating his attacks with the leaping wolves. Using the jungle to his advantage, he swings in for a decisive blow. He lands squarely on the beast's back, his pack flanking it to prevent escape. With a mighty thrust, he drives his blade deep into the beast, ending the hunt. The scene shifts, revealing an incredible 120 years have passed, solidifying his belief that he is the last human. Standing atop a cliff, he reflects on the many animal allies he's gained throughout his brutal existence. But this harsh world has also forced him to endure the pain of losing those same friends. He kneels on a cliff, questioning how he survived for what feels like centuries in this brutal world. The scene reveals he's recounting his story to a doctor, who asks how he returned to Earth after 500 years. He recalls a massive battle, the ground rumbling as two armies clash for dominance. His wolf pack charges into the fray, determined to seize control of Moon Hill from the gorillas. The gorilla tribe roars in defiance, meeting the wolves' charge with equal ferocity. He sprints into the chaos, leading the charge alongside his pack. The battlefield erupts into a maelstrom of claws and fists as the two sides collide. With a determined gaze, he carves a path through the enemy ranks, a whirlwind of controlled fury. He uses his incredible agility to launch himself into the air, preparing for a decisive strike. He descends upon a guerrilla leader, aiming to deliver a powerful blow and turn the tide of the battle. He descends in a blur of motion, his sword poised for a lethal strike against the guerrilla leader. His determined expression instantly shatters into one of pure, unadulterated shock. The shock twists his face into a grimace of disbelief and sudden agony. Instead of a solid impact, his form becomes ethereal, phasing right through the roaring beast. A blinding flash of energy erupts from his body, engulfing the entire battlefield in light. In the wake of the blast, all that remains is his sword, its cloth wrapping disintegrating into dust. The memory of the brutal forest world vanishes, replaced by a desolate modern cityscape. The scene shifts to a man and a woman navigating the ruined streets, guided by a persistent electronic signal. The man confirms they are on the right path, his steps sure as he follows his companion. The woman leads the way, her tracker pinpointing their destination with unwavering certainty. The woman stands ready, a sword strapped to her back, hinting at her combat prowess. Her tracker beeps erratically, displaying a dangerously unstable energy reading. She urgently reports that the dimensional energy levels are spiking to unprecedented heights. Her superior immediately orders the location coordinates be sent to the portal management team. With a tap, the coordinates are transmitted, marking a specific point in the ruined city. A brilliant pillar of light suddenly materializes, signaling the imminent opening of a portal. Realizing the danger, the leader commands a full retreat as the team scrambles for safety. A powerful shockwave erupts from the portal, tearing through the street and sending debris flying. The blast wave violently throws the entire team off their feet. Stunned and on the ground, they stare in horror as they confirm the portal is now active. A team member panics, screaming in terror as the portal's force threatens to pull him in. Unsheathing her sword, the team leader prepares to face the unknown threat head-on. She yells for her squad to retreat, vowing to hold the line and buy them precious time. Her subordinates scramble away in terror, desperately calling for immediate backup. She stands alone, a defiant silhouette against the raging energy of the open portal. With a fierce glare, she challenges the unseen entity, promising to destroy whatever emerges. A muscular, shadowy figure begins to materialize from within the blinding light. Her confident expression instantly vanishes, replaced by one of complete and utter shock. The mysterious figure turns its head, a single point of light glowing from its shadowed face. Her shock turns to stunned disbelief as she realizes the being that emerged is a human. Her hand trembles on her sword, a powerful force rendering her completely immobile. The man unleashes a primal roar, his face contorted in pure, untamed rage. She stares back, her initial shock giving way to a dawning sense of dread. A sudden blast of energy erupts from him, forcing her to skid backward to keep her footing. His eye glows with immense power as he lets out another ferocious, energy-charged roar. Beads of sweat form on her face as she witnesses the overwhelming display of raw power. The immense pressure intensifies, her fingers shaking as she struggles to even grip her weapon. The man's body suddenly wobbles, his immense power seemingly too much for him to control. He collapses forward, his hand landing just inches from her feet as his strength gives out. She silently observes the unconscious man lying amidst the shattered ground. The immediate threat now gone, her team cautiously approaches, shocked by the lingering energy and questioning if a mere person could be the cause. She internally notes that the pressure he emitted was far greater than any high-ranked dungeon monster she's ever faced. With his overwhelming power now dormant, the mysterious man lies peacefully on the shattered concrete. The team leader stares, utterly bewildered as she tries to comprehend who this impossibly powerful individual could be. She reports to her superiors that the threat is neutralized, identifying the figure as a returnee and requesting immediate medical aid. The scene returns to the present, where the doctor concludes the interview, turning off his recording device. With a satisfied expression, the doctor commends the man for his detailed testimony. He explains that the man's case will be forwarded to the Returnee Control Department, and he'll soon be discharged. As the doctor turns to leave, the man calls out to him with an unexpectedly casual tone. The doctor stops at the door, turning back with a flicker of annoyance at the informal address. The man casually explains it's been 1,000 years since he's had a proper conversation. The doctor internally acknowledges the man's incredible tale, labeling him a warrior who survived the millennium. As the doctor departs, the man's eyes sharpen with a sudden, knowing glint. The door clicks shut, leaving the warrior alone in the quiet room. The doctor walks away down the sterile corridor, his mind processing the interview. He privately dismisses the tale as a vivid fantasy, musing that the man could be a novelist. The scene shifts to the imposing headquarters of the Returnee Control Department. Inside an office, the female team leader questions her superior, certain the data on the new returnee is flawed. Her boss leans back in his chair, calmly asking her to elaborate on the supposed mistake. She stares in shock at the man's ID, revealing that the being of immense power is officially ranked as a mere F rank. Her boss confirms the man's rare F rank status, pitying him for being too weak to even qualify for a pension. She examines the ID, scoffing that an F rank is practically a powerless civilian. She insists a mere F rank could never survive a portal, demanding to know if there's been a mistake. He casually waves off her concerns, theorizing the man just got lucky finding a return stone while hiding. To put an end to her doubts, he presents the official doctor's notes on a tablet. The medical file lists PTSD and delusions, dismissing his story as a trauma response common in F ranks. As she reads, her eyes narrow, fixating on the doctor's note about wolfish behavior. A flash of memory reveals his face contorted in a ferocious, energy-charged roar. The memory of his overwhelming power clashes with the report, making her doubt her own experience. She presents the file one last time, but her superior insists that even an F rank must be processed by the book. Unconvinced by the official report, she decides to deliver the man's discharge papers herself. Her superior is baffled by her decision, questioning her unusual interest in a low-rank returnee. She insists on confirming the truth with her own eyes, leaving her boss to ponder her motives. The scene shifts to the hospital, where the warrior has been recovering for 2 weeks after his millennium-long ordeal. He lies motionless on the bed, reflecting on how alien his own world now feels despite his desperate wish to return. Staring blankly at the ceiling, he contemplates his uncertain future in this strange new era. A staff member interrupts his thoughts, entering the room with his morning meal. He silently acknowledges her presence, his expression remaining distant and unreadable. The sight of the simple, modern meal is a stark contrast to the life he once knew. His body betrays his stoicism as his stomach rumbles, reminding him of his basic human needs. He decides to push aside his existential dread and focus on the simple act of eating. Just then, the sound of footsteps announces an unexpected visitor approaching his room. The door bursts open, revealing the blonde team leader, who calls out his name with purpose. She finds him hunched over his food, devouring it with a primal hunger that's anything but human. The sight stops her cold, her professional demeanor faltering as she witnesses his feral behavior. He pauses mid-bite, looking up from his handful of rice with a confused and wild expression. As she introduces herself, he ignores her words, instead focusing on sniffing the air with an intense focus. He steps forward, his mind connecting her familiar scent and blonde hair to recent memory. Crouching low to the ground, he continues to sniff around her, much to her confusion. She clarifies their connection, reminding him that she was the one who found him when he first returned. Her memory of him as an absolute predator clashes with his current strange behavior. The so-called predator is now licking his empty food tray with comical gusto. His bizarre display makes her question her own instincts, wondering if she's lost her touch. He abruptly changes his tune, sitting up and demanding an explanation about the department. Much to her annoyance, the man casually explains his demanding tone is because he's over 1,000 years old. Taken aback by his absurd claim, she composes herself. Remembering he's officially listed as a patient, she professionally explains the department's function, sliding over the necessary paperwork for him to review. She gives him clear instructions to read the forms, agree to the terms, and provide his signature. He ignores her instructions, his attention completely captured by the modern pen in his hand. To her exasperation, he begins sniffing the pen, remarking on how familiar yet ancient it feels to him. She demands he stop doodling, but he explains it's been 1,000 years since he's even seen a pen. Losing her patience, she points directly to the signature line, internally dismissing him as a complete fool. A vein throbs on her forehead as she seethes, barely containing her rage at his childish behavior. He finally looks up from his artwork with a calm expression, completely oblivious to her mounting frustration. Her anger shifts to shock as she sees he's sketched a detailed wolf, a skill he claims he had before leaving Earth. She presses him for more information, asking if he learned any useful skills like magic or martial arts. He flatly denies learning any special abilities, stating he only focused on surviving in a forest. She closes her eyes in resignation, mistakenly concluding he simply ran for his life for 10 years. He tilts his head in confusion, her 10 years comment clearly not matching his own experience. His eye sharpens as the vast gap in their understanding of his timeline becomes chillingly clear to him. She internally concludes she was mistaken, believing he just survived a peaceful dimension instead of fighting monsters. He calmly corrects her, stating he was trapped in that jungle for 1,000 years, not 10. She closes her eyes in annoyance, dismissing his claim and insisting it was only 10 years. He stares back, completely baffled by her insistence on the 10-year timeline. She points emphatically at the file, stating his record clearly shows he was gone from 2015 to 2025. He stares at the document in shock, the realization that only a decade has passed on Earth dawning on him. She cuts through his shock by slapping his new returnee identification card down on the table. He picks up the card, numbly processing his new official status as a returnee. Turning to leave, she explains the card will cover his hospital bills and instructs him to review the documents thoroughly. Her duty done, she advises him to return to his family after recovery and promptly leaves the room. He watches the door click shut, leaving him alone with the documents and his turbulent thoughts. Her final words about his family finally register, striking him with the force of a revelation. A wave of disbelief and overwhelming hope washes over him at the possibility they could still be alive. He recalls giving up all hope during his exile. Certain 1,000 years would have erased everyone he knew. Returning to Earth meant losing his wolf family, and he had resigned himself to being utterly alone once more. But he was wrong. The document confirms only 10 years have passed, reigniting a hope he thought long dead. His brief moment of joy is crushed as he reads that his parents died during the dungeon break in 2015. Reeling from the devastating news, his thoughts desperately latch onto the last remaining family member he has. His eyes lock onto the page, a spark of life returning as he finds the information he was searching for. Fueled by the knowledge that his brother is alive, he bursts out of the room with a newfound purpose. He sprints down the hospital hallway, shoving past staff while desperately searching for the doctor. Ignoring the staff's protest, he forcefully throws open the doctor's office door. He bursts in, his wild eyes fixed on the man he's looking for. The bald doctor looks up, unfazed by the chaotic entrance, while a nurse trails behind an apology. With a knowing look, the doctor calmly greets him by name and asks what he needs. Suho's face is a mask of desperation as he declares he needs the doctor's help. The doctor gestures calmly, inviting him to explain the nature of his request. Leaning over the desk, he frantically demands to know his brother's location and to be released immediately. The doctor coolly denies his request, stating he's not ready to re-enter society and should wait patiently. His expression hardens, a silent warning that the doctor has severely underestimated him. He coldly informs the doctor that he isn't asking for permission, he's leaving. The doctor simply smiles, unfazed by the blatant disrespect. To Suho's surprise, the doctor calmly taps his leg and agrees to the demand. However, his expression turns serious as he reveals there's a catch. Suho eyes him suspiciously, demanding to know the doctor's condition. Now in a taxi, Suho gratefully thanks the doctor for his help. The doctor and nurse watch from the curb as the taxi prepares to depart. Leaning in, the doctor reminds the driver that his passenger is still recovering and needs care. The taxi speeds off down the road, leaving the hospital staff behind. The nurse turns to the doctor, questioning his extraordinary generosity towards the patient. The doctor explains that frank returnees are often ignored, and he was amused by the patient's insults. He smiles wistfully, with the nurse looking on, still not understanding his motives. With a sly look, he admits he's curious to hear more of the young man's seemingly unbelievable stories. The nurse reacts with disbelief, questioning why he'd want to listen to such obvious fabrications. Changing the subject, the doctor calmly asks her to arrange for the broken office door to be repaired. She points to the grotesquely twisted handle, noting that a repair request has already been submitted. A flashback reveals Suho's hand effortlessly crushing the doorknob as he burst into the room. The memory continues, showing his hand pressing down on the desk, causing the wood to strain under immense pressure. The doctor sits down, internally noting this is the second time a handle has been destroyed in such a specific way. With a knowing expression, he realizes it's been a long time since he's encountered a powerful irregular like Suho. As the taxi navigates the bustling city, a breaking news report interrupts the radio. A dungeon break has occurred due to a time miscalculation, unleashing a flood of monsters into an unprotected area. The news broadcast displays a horrifying image of one of the escaped creatures. It's grotesque. Multi-ton drilled maw fills the screen as the report details the military's urgent response. Tanks and helicopters are shown blasting the monster, managing to subdue the threat in under an hour. Despite the victory, the aftermath reveals destroyed tanks and reports 12 casualties among hunters and soldiers. The grim news report abruptly cuts to a flashy advertisement for a fighting tournament between superhumans. The taxi driver excitedly listens to the promotion for a match featuring the world's 34th ranked hero. The ad showcases the upcoming battle between the top-tier heroes vying for a shot at the #1 spot. Suho silently observes the broadcast, absorbing the strange and chaotic nature of this new world. Back at the hospital, the doctor reflects on how the world has been irrevocably altered since the catastrophe. The radio ad continues, calling for new hunters to rise and join the fight. It's a recruitment drive for the Shilla Guild, Korea's 4th-ranked guild, promising huge rewards. The driver wistfully dreams of a hunter's fortune, while Suho asks about the hunting field in Seoul. The driver gives him a worried look, convinced Suho's ignorance is a sign of a serious head injury. Seeing Suho's genuine confusion, the driver agrees to explain everything, having nothing better to do. He starts his story 10 years ago, on the day portals to other worlds open across the globe, an event known as the catastrophe. This dimensional clash unleashed a terrifying invasion of monsters, plunging the world into chaos. The initial onslaught was devastating, wiping out 10% of the world's population as conventional military forces proved ineffective. Humanity's armies fought back with everything they had, launching massive aerial bombardments against the otherworldly threats. The driver continues, explaining that hunters were created to fight where the military couldn't. He elaborates that returnees, people who came back from other worlds, became licensed hunters, turning monster slaying into a profitable career. Suo's interest is piqued, and he asks how to get a hunter's license. Amused by his passenger's intensity, the driver explains it's not a path for just anyone. He details the process, stating a person must first be awakened and then pass the official hunter exam. Suho's brow furrows, realizing the path to becoming a hunter is more complex than he thought. The taxi continues its journey through a neighborhood under a surreal, multicolored sky. It wends its way up a steep road, heading deeper into a residential district. With a sharp screech of its tires, the taxi comes to an abrupt stop. Pointing ahead, the driver identifies a 2-story red brick house as their final destination. Suho thanks the driver as the taxi speeds off, leaving him at his destination. He stands before the house, an ominous crow flying overhead as he prepares to enter. Taking a determined step forward, Suho approaches the front of the red brick building. His arrival is noticed by an elderly woman cleaning a window, who peers out curiously. She calls out from the second floor, demanding to know who is standing outside her home. Suho looks up and announces with conviction that he is there to see someone named Junho. The woman simply stares back at him, her expression unreadable as she processes his words. He waits patiently for a reply, confused by her prolonged and silent scrutiny. Her face twists with annoyance as she criticizes his lack of proper etiquette. She then sharply informs him that nobody named Junho lives at this address, much to his surprise. The woman unleashes a furious tirade, ordering him to leave immediately. With a sharp crack, she slams the window shut, leaving Suho to stare at the brick wall. He glances back, questioning if the taxi driver brought him to the correct house. Inside, the woman complains about daily visits from loan sharks, mistaking Suho for one of them. Suho's focus intensifies as he picks up on the hushed, worried conversation within. The woman attempts to comfort a young boy, lamenting the cruel fate that has befallen their family. Peeking from the side, Suho learns that the boy's father is struggling with overwhelming debt. The child points to a mailbox stuffed with official notices, asking about his father's financial troubles. The grandmother quickly changes the subject, trying to shield the boy from the harsh reality. While distracting him, she deftly removes the pile of overdue bills from the mailbox. Suho pulls out his phone, his expression turning serious as he confirms the address. He realizes the man he seeks, Junho Park, is the one drowning in debt, not the woman's son. With this new information, Suho turns and walks away from the house, a new plan forming. He reflects on the laws of this world, so different from the simple rule of the strong he's used to. Suho realizes that to cut through this world's complexity, he needs a different kind of power. He clenches his fist with a newfound resolve, understanding that in this society, money is the ultimate strength. His quest for power and money leads him to a towering, official-looking building. Suho confidently navigates the bureaucratic halls of the Hunter Association headquarters. He slides his identification card across the counter, formally applying for the Hunter exam. The official flatly denies his request, informing a stunned Suho that he is not qualified. Suho demands to know why he's unqualified, declaring himself an F-rank returnee. The official clarifies that while he has the rank, he lacks the required returnee ranking points. He protests, insisting he traveled through a portal just 2 weeks prior. The woman scoffs at his claim, explaining that portals are lethal to ordinary civilians. She cuts off his explanation, mockingly telling him to take his superhero fantasies home. The official instructs him to either join an academy or earn points in the field before returning. Leaving the building, Suho spots a bounty board for goblins, puzzled by this world's rules. His focus sharpens as the Suwon Field Goblin's bounty gives him an idea. The camera pans out to reveal a massive, shimmering barrier encompassing the city. Back in a taxi, Suho learns from the driver that the strange barrier surrounds the entirety of Seoul. The driver explains Seoul is a complex web of 12 districts connected by hundreds of gates, all managed by a map app. Realizing he's completely disconnected, Suho decides his first mission is to get a phone. With a sharp screech of its tires, the taxi comes to an abrupt halt at his destination. The driver announces their arrival at Suwon Field Gate 27, the entrance to the goblin hunting grounds. Suho steps out onto the asphalt, ready to begin his quest for points and power. As the taxi speeds off, he is left standing before a massive industrial gate marked with the number 27. He gazes up at the imposing structure, confirming that a hunting field must lie just beyond it. Taking determined strides, Suho approaches the gate's official entrance. His path is quickly blocked by a military checkpoint. Manned by armed guards and screening equipment, a soldier in full combat gear confronts him, demanding to know the purpose of his visit. Suho coolly informs the soldier he's here for a hunt. The guard gives him a hard, silent stare, clearly not convinced. He demands to see Suho's official hunter identification. Suho calmly admits that he doesn't possess such an ID. The soldiers immediately move to block him, declaring the area off-limits to civilians. Suddenly, the roar of an engine diverts everyone's attention. Panic erupts as the guards realize a vehicle is speeding through the checkpoint. The camouflaged SUV crashes through the barrier before anyone can react. Inside the vehicle, a monstrous creature lunges at the driver in a brutal attack. The out-of-control vehicle screeches to a halt, having breached the gate. The SUV flips violently, crashing hard against the road. A commander barks orders for his squad to mobilize as chaos erupts. Soldiers scramble into position, aiming their weapons at the overturned vehicle. The wrecked SUV begins to rattle ominously, drawing the soldiers' focused aim. A monstrous hand smashes through the window, shattering the glass from within. A grotesque creature with rows of sharp teeth crawls out from the wreckage. The squad leader gives the decisive command to open fire on the escaped monster. A relentless barrage of bullets erupts from their rifles, zeroing in on the target. The creature is torn apart by the intense gunfire, letting out a final, silent shriek. With the monster neutralized, the commander raises his fist and signals for a ceasefire. With the threat neutralized, the soldiers secure the perimeter and call for medical assistance. Amidst the aftermath, the guards realize the civilian who arrived by taxi has vanished. The sergeant scans the area, wondering where the mysterious man could have gone. They spot the empty checkpoint and assume the civilian fled in terror during the attack. But far from scared, Suho has already slipped past them and is now inside Field 27. He walks deeper into the field, his heightened senses already picking up on the environment. Unsettling sounds and a distinct smell confirm his suspicions this place is crawling with threats. Stepping off the paved road, he makes a mental note to acquire a vehicle for future missions. Reaching a high point, Suho is stunned by the sight of a vast, ruined city stretching before him. He stares in disbelief, realizing the devastating truth about the world outside Seoul's protective barrier. The ruined city stretches out before him, a desolate landscape under the starry night sky. Suho looks over the destruction, feeling an unsettling familiarity with this kind of darkness. He steps to the very edge of the rooftop, preparing to make a move. With his mind made up, he resolves that it is finally time to begin the hunt. Without hesitation, he leaps from the building, diving headfirst toward the ground below. He lands with a ground-shattering impact, cracking the pavement in a powerful shockwave. After testing his durability, he notes that his body feels a little stiff from the landing. Kneeling in the crater he created, he takes a moment to adjust to his surroundings. Placing a hand firmly on the ground, he readies himself for the next phase of his plan. Suho explodes forward in a blur of motion, kicking up rocks and dust as he dashes through the ruins. He moves with blinding speed, a blur against the ruined city backdrop. He then launches himself into the air, soaring towards the top of a dilapidated building. Mid-jump, a sudden wave of exhaustion hits him, causing him to falter. With a desperate lunge, he barely catches the ledge, saving himself from a fall. Pulling himself up, he questions the strange after-effect that seems to be draining his power. Standing atop the ruins under the full moon, he takes a moment to assess his unexpected condition. Closing his eyes, he focuses his heightened senses, sniffing the air to track his first target. His senses quickly lock onto a promising scent, catching his full attention. Hearing faint whimpers in the distance, he identifies the perfect place to begin his hunt. Without another moment's delay, he pushes off the ledge, moving toward the source of the sound. He gracefully navigates the ruined cityscape, drawn toward the source of the commotion. The faint whimpers turn into desperate screeches, confirming he's on the right track. As he gets closer, the sounds of a brutal battle echo through the desolate streets. He discovers the source, a pack of grotesque monsters cornering a large, wounded white wolf. One of the creatures grins with malevolent glee, its eyes glowing with predatory hunger. Despite being outnumbered and injured, the white wolf snarls back with fierce defiance. Suho steps out from the shadows, his footsteps deliberate as he approaches the conflict. He pauses for a moment, a shadow concealing his expression as he weighs his options. Suddenly, the wolf's eyes lock onto his position, sensing a new presence on the battlefield. Ignoring the newcomer, the monsters lunge forward, ready to deliver the final blow to the cornered wolf. Suho cracks a predatory smirk, seeing the perfect opportunity to test his strength. His eyes blaze with intensity as he decides the monsters are now his to hunt. In a flash, he's upon them, his fist connecting with the monster's jaw with explosive force. The monster is utterly obliterated by the single strike, letting out a final, unheard cry. A mysterious system notification suddenly appears before him, announcing it's searching for a class. but the search is immediately overridden by a barrage of error messages, all declaring his class already exists. Stunned, he tries to comprehend the bizarre system error flashing before his eyes. His confusion mounts as the nonsensical error messages refuse to disappear. Losing his patience, he angrily waves his hand through the intangible screens, demanding they vanish. The remaining creatures exploit his moment of distraction, closing in for a coordinated attack. A monster shrieks as it lunges forward, its massive jaws aiming to tear him apart. Unfazed, Suho meets the attack with a powerful fist straight into the creature's maw. The blow lands with bone-shattering force, completely crushing the monster's skull. With a brutal twist, he snaps the creature's neck, ending its assault instantly. Another monster screeches in fury, digging its claws into the pavement as it charges. Suho intercepts the attack, grabbing the beast and slamming it headfirst into the concrete. The last remaining creature hesitates, its predatory confidence replaced by sudden fear. Wasting no time, Suho closes the distance and seizes the final monster by its face. He effortlessly lifts the struggling beast and spins, preparing for a final, decisive throw. With a mighty heave, he smashes the monster into the ground, causing a devastating impact. He stands over the last monster, its form broken beneath his feet. Just as the battle ends, more system errors flash, mentioning a druid class and failed stats. The screen declares a critical error, confirming his failure to obtain a class skill. A sudden realization dawns on him as he connects the persistent error to his current state. He recalls his past, remembering how stat increases became rare after he reached his maximum strength. Suho now suspects the system error is the very reason for his diminished power back on Earth. The glitching screens are suddenly replaced by a new notification. The performance store is now open. He stares in disbelief at the unfamiliar message, a feature he has never encountered before. He touches the screen, wondering if this unexpected development is his long-awaited awakening. The store interface reveals he has 7 points to spend on basic recovery items. He scoffs at the meager selection of items available for his 7 points. After making his purchase, a bottle of water and a piece of bread magically appear before him. His attention is suddenly drawn back to the sound of whimpering echoing through the ruins. He finds the source, the grievously injured white wolf, now with a small cub nuzzling against her. He takes a deliberate step, approaching the dying mother and her cub. Kneeling beside them, he assesses the dire situation with a somber expression. He gently touches the wolf, realizing its life is fading faster than its wounds would suggest. The great wolf pants weakly under his touch, its strength clearly failing. With a final, faint whine, the wolf's breathing grows shallow as its life slips away. In its last moments, the wolf seems to convey a final plea, directing his attention to its cub. He tries to deny any responsibility for the cub, but its soft whimper cuts him short. The small wolf looks up at him with pleading eyes, its innocent gaze making him hesitate. He stares down at the orphan, wondering if their meeting was a twist of fate. Giving in, he reaches into his jacket for the provisions he just purchased. He offers the bread to the hungry cub, a temporary solution to its immediate problem. Leaving the cub to eat, he walks away from the carnage he created. He takes a moment to count the fallen monsters, confirming he defeated all 7. A strange distortion signals his departure, making him wish for a more convenient way to travel. The sun rises over the ruined city, casting a new light on the desolate landscape. He looks toward the dawn, his expression filled with a quiet, renewed determination. He rests peacefully under a tree, the small wolf cub sleeping soundly in his lap. Deciding it's time to move, he gently pets the cub, his unexpected new companion. Meanwhile, at Gate 27, a soldier directs a long line of vehicles exiting the zone. The guard barks orders at the slow-moving traffic, trying to maintain order at the checkpoint. But the entire line of cars suddenly grinds to a halt, drivers staring in disbelief at something behind the soldier. The soldier turns, his expression shifting from annoyance to utter shock. Suho casually strolls toward the gate, carrying the entire pile of monster corpses on his back as the cub follows. Onlookers are speechless, wondering how one man could possibly take down such a haul alone. The soldier's eyes widen in horrified recognition as a single bead of sweat rolls down his face. Having passed the gate, Suho arrives at the registration office to cash in his impressive hunt. The registration officer calculates his earnings, deducting various fees from his total haul. He is unfamiliar with the term bloodstones, a key source of his income. She clarifies they are valuable gems extracted from the hearts of the monsters he defeated. The value of these stones, she explains, is determined by their stored magical energy. Since he's unregistered, she pays him in cash and advises him to officially become a hunter. Clutching the money, Suho realizes that becoming a hunter is his clear path to wealth. The scene shifts to a different man arriving at a local convenience store in his truck. The elderly shopkeeper greets the man, who explains he's taken up a new job as a truck driver. The driver admits his new route into the field is dangerous. but the superior pay makes it worthwhile. As a kind gesture, the shopkeeper offers him a snack for his son before the man also buys a bottle of soju. After his purchase, the truck driver pulls away from the curb, heading off on his route. Junho hums a tune, the bottle of soju rattling beside him as he drives contentedly. Just as he leaves, a taxi speeds recklessly past the convenience store, kicking up dust. His journey is cut short when the taxi swerves, blocking his truck and forcing him to a sudden stop. A man steps out of the taxi, calling out to the driver by name as he approaches. Junho turns with a wary look, recognizing the unwelcome visitor. Without warning, the man and his crew ambush Junho, sending him crashing to the ground. The lead assailant smirks, baton in hand, making a chilling comment about Junho's family. Bleeding and stunned, Junho raises a hand in a desperate, defensive gesture. The sounds of a brutal confrontation echo through the quiet residential streets. The assailant taps the baton against Junho's neck, taunting him about his recent good fortune. He slams Junho's head down, furious about how many times he had to track him down. On his knees, Junho desperately offers a stack of cash, pleading for forgiveness. The leader casually counts the money, while listing off a series of absurd additional fees. Surrounded by his crew, he declares that the payment is still not enough to cover the debt. Junho's bloodied hand trembles, clenching his pants in a mix of fury and helplessness. Tears stream down his face as he promises to deliver the remaining balance within 3 days. Enraged by the delay, the man strikes Junho again, reminding him of the compounding interest. He raises his weapon for another blow, but a voice suddenly calls out Junho's name, stopping him mid-swing. The leader pauses, looking up with a puzzled expression as the unexpected interruption hangs in the air. The voice belongs to Suho, who has arrived on the scene with his small wolf companion. The gang leader turns, annoyed by the interruption and demanding to know who the newcomer is. Junho looks up from the ground, his face a mask of stunned recognition. Suho stands over them, his eyes glowing with the dangerous red light as Junho utters his name. Both the victim and the assailant are shocked, questioning if this is the same Suho they know. Taking a confident step forward, Suho's intimidating presence fills the alley. To everyone's surprise, Suho kneels down next to the injured Junho, ignoring the gang. He addresses the beaten man by name, confirming their past acquaintance. A small, confident smile plays on Suho's lips as he asks if the man is indeed Junho. A tear of relief escapes Junho's eye as he looks at his unexpected savior. The scene flashes back to their school days, showing a younger Junho being assaulted by bullies. His attackers search his pockets, threatening to punish him for every coin they find. Lying on the ground, Junho looks up in pained surprise, recognizing an onlooker. A younger Suho stands nearby, witnessing the entire confrontation while holding trash bags. Junho desperately calls out for help, causing the bullies to turn their attention to the newcomer. However, Suho simply continues on his way to dispose of the trash, ignoring the plea. He walks away without a single glance back, leading Junho to his fate. The memory shifts to the bullies confronting Suho, striking him while lecturing him about friendship. A tear of betrayal streams down Junho's face as he curses Suho's name under his breath. The bullies kick Suho, questioning Junho's earlier claim that the two of them were brothers. Junho bitterly recalls his past, convinced his brother was never a source of help as the world begins to shake. The flashback is cut short by breaking news of massive, unexplained explosions erupting across the country. A news report reveals that unidentified creatures are emerging from mysterious crimson domes, appearing with the blast. The sudden chime of his doorbell startles the young man, pulling his attention away from the television. He sprints towards the entrance, his small dog barking as it follows close behind. Throwing the door open, he calls out in a panic, expecting to see his mother. To his surprise, his aunt and uncle stand there, their faces etched with relief upon seeing him. Junho stares back, utterly bewildered by their sudden and frantic appearance. They desperately explain that his parents are missing and ask for Suho's location, urging an immediate evacuation. Before he can process their words, a blinding pillar of light erupts from the floor, throwing him violently backward. The blast sends Junho flying across the room, crashing hard against the far wall. Outside, grotesque monsters rampage through the city, their roars echoing through the chaos. Dazed and bleeding amidst the rubble, he struggles to comprehend the unfolding disaster. A colossal, unblinking eye suddenly fills a newly formed hole in the wall, staring directly at him. The terrifying eye vanishes, replaced by an overwhelming flash of pure white light. The memory fades, and Junho recalls his bitter indifference to his brother's disappearance back then. He reflects on how Suho held no real importance in his life, a brother in name only. Suho, however, smiles gently, remarking on how much his younger brother has grown up. Stunned, Junho can only stare, having believed his brother was dead all this time. The gang leader watches the bizarre reunion, wondering if he'd knocked Junho senseless. The leader scoffs, doubting that this unassuming kid could possibly be Junho's older brother. Without warning, Suho's hand flashes out, grabbing the gang leader by the head. He then violently slams the man's face into the concrete, shattering the ground on impact. Junho stares in wide-eyed shock, the sound of the brutal impact echoing in his ears. The boss is sent flying backward, crashing through a wooden barricade with a pained grunt. He lands in a heap amidst the splintered wood, completely incapacitated. The remaining gang members are frozen in horror, one calling out to their fallen leader. Suho calmly turns back to Junho, asking if he's alright while the gang fumes in the background. An enraged underling glares at Suho, his face twisted in a mask of pure fury. Believing they have the numbers, the thug charges forward, screaming a challenge. With a bored expression, Suho effortlessly intercepts the attacker's kick, stopping him mid-charge. The thug collapses to the ground, his face contorted in agony from the powerful counterattack. He writhes on the pavement while his companion watches in stunned silence, completely outmatched. The last man standing freezes in terror, realizing Suho might be a powerful hunter. Suho calmly gestures for the terrified man to approach, asking if he has anything to say for himself. The thug desperately pleads his innocence, claiming he tried to protect Junho from the others. Unimpressed, Suho places a thick stack of cash on the ground, making an unexpected offer. The remaining gang members stare, bewildered by this strange turn of events. Suho's gaze hardens as he orders them to take the money and disappear from his sight. The man hastily grabs the cash and bows deeply, thanking Suho for his terrifying mercy. The brothers finally arrive at a modest apartment building under the quiet night sky. An elderly woman with a stern, questioning gaze suddenly confronts them. She eyes Suho with deep suspicion, forcing Junho to confirm their family ties. Suho calmly presents her with a bag of meat, a simple peace offering. The woman reluctantly takes the bag, her expression a mix of frustration and quiet sorrow. Turning away, she leads them upstairs, mentioning a child who fell asleep waiting for their return. Inside, a small white puppy whimpers softly, nudging a sleeping figure on the floor. The camera pans to a young boy, fast asleep after a long wait. Junho kneels beside the child, introducing his son Jenu to his long-lost brother. When Suho asks about the boy's mother, Junho quietly reveals that she has left them. Junho blames his own shortcomings for his situation, as the puppy licks his sleeping son's face. Sensing his brother's hardship, Suho suggests they sit down and share a drink. The two brothers clink their glasses, a quiet moment of reconnection after years apart. Junho expresses his disbelief, noting that Suho hasn't aged at all and has returned as a powerful hunter. Cutting to the heart of the matter, Suho directly asks his brother how much debt he's in. Junho puts on a brave face, insisting he can pay it all back now that he has found a job. Unconvinced, Suho presses him for more details about this supposed new employment. His brother explains it's a high-risk, high-reward transporting job between cities. Suho then asks about the truck outside, learning it's a loan from the landlady's son. His expression grows serious as he questions the whereabouts of the truck's original owner. Junho reveals the truck's owner perished in the catastrophe, explaining the landlady's kindness. A flashback shows the moment Jenu first discovered the little puppy, his eyes wide with surprise. The boy's expression shifts to shock as he realizes something is happening off-screen. Back in the present, Jenu appears in the doorway, calling for his dad while clutching the puppy. Suho turns with a bright, welcoming smile, happy to finally meet his nephew. After a quick introduction, the boy shyly asks for permission to play with his new companion. Suho's face lights up with a gentle, heartwarming smile at the sight of his family. Jenu joyfully rolls on the floor, completely enamored with his new furry friend. Junho watches them, remarking that his son has always dreamed of having a puppy. With a determined look, Suho turns to his brother and makes a serious proposition for them to work together. Junho stares back, completely baffled by his brother's sudden proposal. Suho clarifies the terms: he'll handle the dangerous part, and Junho will just need to help with the truck. His brother cautiously asks what kind of work Suho has in mind. With an intense grin, Suho reveals his new line of work is monster hunting. Junho is stunned into silence, horrified by the dangerous proposition. The scene transitions to the impressive headquarters of the Ritterny Control Department. An official congratulates Suho on his registration, shocked by his stat increase after just one day. Now registered as an F-rank druid, Suho is informed he's eligible for financial services. He is then presented with a brand new smartphone as a welcome gift for all registered Ritternies. The official explains that a special app will provide him with crucial information on hunting fields and schedules. The official encourages Suho, explaining that ranking up will unlock benefits and a pension. She then asks if he knows how to access his status window, noting a recent system update. Suho summons his stats, a glowing blue interface appearing before him, leaving him utterly confused. He's shocked to see how low his detailed stats are, finally understanding his recent physical struggles. The scene changes, showing the white truck speeding along a sunny highway. Inside the cab, Suho's new phone, mounted on the dash, begins to ring. Junho answers, happily congratulating his brother for officially registering as a returnee. Suho confirms he's on his way, mentioning he has one last stop to make. His brother asks if the only thing left now is for Suho to pass the hunter exam. Walking through the city, Suho firmly declares their first priority is clearing Junho's debt. Junho expresses his concern, reminding Suho that his F-rank status makes monster hunting incredibly dangerous. Before he can finish his thought, Suho abruptly ends the call, leaving Junho staring at the phone in disbelief. As he drives, Junho wonders if this confident, decisive man is truly the brother he once knew. Meanwhile, Suho is already on the move, using his new phone to find the nearest monster gate in Namyeongju. He arrives at Gate 77 to find a crowd of impatient hunters, all eager to get inside and claim the bounties. Suddenly, a green SUV screeches to a stop, arriving with aggressive urgency. Inside, two stern-looking men in matching suits sit in the front, exuding an air of authority. In the back, a group of terrified recruits trembles, their fear palpable as they approach the dungeon entrance. The driver smirks at their anxiety, questioning why a group of powerful returnees would be so scared. He reminds them that passing this dungeon test is their only ticket to joining the prestigious Shilla Guild. The Shilla Guild official scoffs in disgust, judging the new recruits as worthless. He laments the lack of talent, believing they're only motivated by their parents' pensions. At the gate entrance, a soldier calls for the next hunter to step forward for verification. The guard's routine is interrupted as Suho calmly steps up to the checkpoint. Suho walks with an unshakable confidence that sets him apart from the nervous crowd. After confirming he's alone, the soldier instructs him to present his returnee ID for scanning. Suho smoothly slides his card into the reader, activating the verification process. The soldier stares at his monitor in shock, seeing Suho is an F-rank materialization user. He warns Suho that his low rank restricts him to the outer field, barring him from the dungeon. Inside the SUV, the unimpressed Shilla official suddenly looks back with a start. His interest peaked. Ignoring the soldier's warning, Suho confidently strides down the corridor and into the outer field. One soldier expresses concern for the unequipped hunter, but his partner reveals Suho's impressive solo feat from the previous day. With a newly informed perspective, the guard watches Suho's determined back as he disappears into the light. The Shilla Guild official's disdain turns to intense curiosity, demanding to know who the mysterious hunter is. His subordinate can only stare in disbelief, remarking on the sheer nerve of entering a monster field completely unarmed. A guard approaches their vehicle to apologize for the delay, but the guild members are now focused on a different matter. The senior official barks an order at his driver, his eyes locked on the disappearing figure. He urgently commands his subordinate to follow Suho into the field immediately. The driver snaps to attention, flooring the accelerator to chase after their new person of interest. The green SUV barrels down the entrance tunnel, determined not to let the mysterious F-ranker out of its sight. The green SUV screeches to a sudden, jarring halt in a cloud of dust. Inside, the guild members are thrown into confusion, shocked by their target's disappearance. The driver stares at the empty path ahead, bewildered that he lost Suho in an instant. He desperately scans the area, questioning how the hunter could have vanished so quickly. The senior official, however, smirks, sensing an extraordinary power in the mysterious man. Meanwhile, Suho blazes through the dense forest at an impossible speed. He moves like a blur, leaving the Shilla Guild members far behind in his wake. Each powerful step cracks the ground beneath his feet, propelling him forward. After a short burst, Suho is forced to stop, gasping for air from the sudden exertion. He grimly assesses his physical state, realizing his body can't yet keep up with his abilities. Staring at his dismal stats, Suho concludes he's grown weaker and must start training immediately. His thoughts are cut short by the sharp, echoing sound of clashing metal nearby. With a sharp gaze, he tries to pinpoint the source of the commotion. An aggressive voice rings out, daring an unseen opponent to a fight. Listening intently, he deduces that the sounds belong to a duel between swordsmen. The clash of steel is followed by an explosive impact and an enraged roar from one of the combatants. His eyes lock onto a specific spot in the forest, having finally located the battle. A wicked grin spreads across his face, a spark of dangerous interest in his eyes. The prospect of witnessing a clash between so-called civilized returnees is far too tempting to ignore. In a flash of movement, the duel comes to a brutal and decisive end for one of the fighters. A blood-splattered fighter digs his heels in, defiantly daring his attackers to do their worst. From a nearby rooftop, Suho watches a swordsman threaten to dismember his next opponent. Suho remains impassive as the man below demands the aggressors stand down. Below, a small group of 3 is cornered by a much larger mob of armed thugs in a ruined lot. Suho calmly assesses the scene, deducing that the cornered men have no intention of fighting back. A thug impatiently exits his truck, clearly fed up with the prolonged standoff. He stomps forward, annoyed that his crew is taking so long to handle the seemingly weak trio. One of the cornered men's eyes widen in alarm as a new, hooded enemy appears behind him. An imposing figure with a mohawk steps up, wondering why his men are struggling against only 3 opponents. His sinister grin widens as he's identified as Gusik Choi, a notorious figure with a hefty bounty. Suho calmly descends from his perch, stepping in to halt the confrontation. He processes the information, surprised to learn of the 4,000-point bounty on the man's head. The cornered swordsmen panic, recognizing their opponent as the infamous C-ranked vandal, Gusik Choi. Gusik's underlings puff out their chests, enraged that the trio dared to speak their boss's name. Cracking his knuckles, Gusik confirms his identity with a menacing grin, daring anyone to challenge him. The 3 swordsmen are paralyzed with fear, cursing their terrible luck for encountering such a notorious figure. Their leader desperately tries to bargain, offering to surrender all their possessions in exchange for their lives. Gusik rejects the offer with a sadistic expression, finding more fun in the thrill of the fight as he charges forward. The leader's face contorts in terror, screaming for the charging thug to stop. As he questions the senseless aggression, Suho suddenly drops from above, crashing the party. Suho makes a dramatic entrance, landing with enough force to send a shockwave through the thugs. The sudden arrival catches Gusik's attention, his expression shifting to one of curiosity. The cornered swordsman can only stare in disbelief, stunned by the sudden turn of events. Gusik's thugs are thrown into confusion, bewildered by the mysterious interloper. Suho takes a confident step forward, the ground cracking under the pressure of his presence. He stands before the notorious vandal, unfazed by the crowd of enemies. A dangerous smile forms on Suho's face as he remembers the lucrative bounty on Gusik's head. Gusik sizes up the newcomer, demanding to know who dares to interrupt his fun. Suho coolly reveals his motivation, stating he's simply a man in need of some cash. The 2 men face off, the air thick with tension as a new battle is about to begin. Gusik's thugs mock the newcomer, wondering if the lone challenger has a death wish. The notorious vandal erupts in a fit of mocking laughter at Suho's bold declaration. The cornered swordsman can only watch in stunned silence, completely bewildered by the scene. Gusik's amusement fades as he notes Suho doesn't seem to be an official hunter. Suho remains completely impassive, his calm gaze meeting the thug's intense scrutiny. A menacing red light gleams in Gusik's eyes as he warns Suho about his fatal mistake. Suddenly, Suho is struck by a disorienting flash, his perception of reality warping around him. A strange red energy envelops his legs as he questions what's happening to his body. The swordsman leader watches in utter confusion, unable to comprehend the bizarre turn of events. Gusik reveals his trap, explaining that Suho triggered a skill by looking at him for too long. With a cruel grin, Gusik gloats that his opponent is now completely immobilized. Suho simply glances up, his calm expression betraying no sign of panic. Believing his trap has worked, Gusik orders his men to finish the seemingly helpless intruder. The thugs eagerly charge forward, mocking the man who dared to interfere. The cornered swordsman leader watches with grim resignation, certain of Suho's defeat. But in a blur of motion, Suho shatters everyone's expectations by landing a heavy punch on Gusik's jaw. A charging thug freezes mid-stride, his mind struggling to process what just happened. The swordsmen stare in utter astonishment, realizing Suho was never trapped at all. Gusik reels back in shock, unable to believe his paralysis skill had no effect. Suho's fist tightens, now crackling with a menacing red energy of its own. Suho grins with unnerving confidence, wondering aloud if his opponent's failed ability was some kind of magic. Gusik is rendered speechless, a cold sweat breaking out as he tries to comprehend the situation. With a glowing blue eye and a wild smile, Suho finds this unexpected turn of events incredibly amusing. He follows up with another powerful punch, rushing forward to press his advantage. Gusik's eyes widen in pure shock as the incoming fist fills his vision. In a desperate last-ditch effort, he furiously tries to reactivate his restraint skill. But it's too late, as Suho's fist connects squarely with the vandal's face in a brutal impact. The force of the blow sends Gusik flying backward through the air, completely overwhelmed. The onlooking swordsman can only stare in absolute disbelief at the one-sided beatdown. Suho stands composed amidst the chaos, his opponent now a crumpled heap in the distance. Suho stands over his opponent, his glowing red fist a testament to his overwhelming power. The vandal glares with fury, grudgingly acknowledging that Suho is far from ordinary. Done playing games, Gyusik pulls out a concealed blade from his belt. He lunges with the knife, but Suho easily dodges and prepares a devastating counter. Another powerful punch connects, landing with bone-jarring force on Gyusik's face. The thug stumbles back, dazed and disoriented as Suho questions his limited abilities. Suho continues to taunt him, wondering if the failed restraint skill is all he has. In a final, desperate attempt, Gyusik tries to reactivate his signature power. Suho cuts him off with yet another swift and brutal punch to the jaw. The decisive blow sends Gyusik's head snapping back, ending the fight in a flurry of motion. He effortlessly deflects a desperate counterattack from the dazed vandal. Refusing to let him go, Suho seizes the thug by his collar. With a powerful heave, he hoists the vandal upside down into the air. The fight continues as he smashes Gyusik into the ground, shattering the pavement. The impact is so immense it sends the vandal flying through the wall of a nearby oil station. He looks on with a smug grin, clearly unimpressed by his opponent's performance. The swordsmen are left speechless, unable to comprehend how their tormentor was defeated so easily. Suho turns his attention to the remaining thugs, who instinctively recoil in fear. He casually offers them a chance to fight, an offer they wisely and quickly refuse. Having dealt with the threat, he summons the swordsmen he rescued, who eagerly rush to his side. Suho calmly asks the swordsmen if they have any rope to secure the defeated thugs. The grateful swordsman leader eagerly volunteers, happy to assist his rescuer. Suho turns to the kneeling thugs, coolly inquiring about the bounty on their heads. The men frantically deny having any bounty, insisting Gyusik was the only one with a price on his head. From the ground, the defeated Gyusik glares with pure hatred at his former underlings. He seethes in disbelief, watching his men completely abandon him. Now bound, Gyusik accuses his men of being traitors who were just using him for protection. Suho glances over, surprised that the vandal is already conscious and talking. No longer afraid, the swordsmen furiously shout back at their former tormentor. Suho considers their lack of a bounty, and the thugs eagerly agree they are worthless to save themselves. The swordsman leader interjects, revealing that the thugs are lying and are indeed wanted criminals. The thugs panic and vehemently deny the accusation, desperately trying to convince Suho of their worthlessness. The defeated Gyusik tries a new tactic, attempting to appeal to Suho's rebellious side. Suho glances back, his expression unreadable as he considers the vandal's strange proposal. Gyusik continues his desperate plea, offering Suho immense power and freedom if he's released. Unimpressed by the offer, Suho responds not with words, but with a swift, downward motion. He decisively silences Gyusik's rambling by planting his foot firmly on the vandal's face. The force of the impact renders the thug unconscious, putting a definitive end to his pleas. Suho glances down at the now silent vandal, completely unfazed by his own actions. With the interruption handled, he turns back to the swordsman to confirm that the other thugs do, in fact, have bounties. The thugs despair as their lies crumble, realizing they're completely cornered. Suho wonders how to transport his new bounties, but the swordsmen conveniently offer up their car. With a menacing grin, Suho decides the remaining thugs should join their leader in unconsciousness. The group speeds away from the scene in a sturdy red truck, heading down an overgrown road. In the back, the defeated thugs are piled together, jostled around with every bump. The swordsman leader tries to thank him, but Suho coolly clarifies that he wasn't there on a rescue mission. Unfazed by his bluntness, the swordsmen insist on calling him their lifesaver. A faint, calculating smile plays on Suho's lips as he considers their perspective. The swordsman then curiously asked about Suho's powers, revealing his own skills in swordsmanship, tracking, and hunting. Suho expresses surprise at the man's 3 skills, learning that some can be acquired through skill books. Suho processes the new information, realizing skills can be acquired through books. The swordsman is baffled by Suho's ignorance of such a fundamental concept. Recalling the fight, Suho decides he needs to find a proper combat skill for himself. His train of thought is suddenly broken as he spots something in the distance. A massive, glowing blue portal hangs ominously in the sky over the ruined city. Their truck continues to speed down the overgrown road toward the strange sight. Suho casually points out the anomaly, correctly identifying it as a portal. The swordsman is taken aback by Suho's seemingly obvious question. He confirms it's a level 1 dungeon, revealing it was their original destination. Suho expresses his disappointment, lamenting that he can't enter without a hunter's license. The swordsman stares in utter disbelief, a bead of sweat forming on his temple. He struggles to comprehend how someone so powerful could lack a basic hunter's license. Suho calmly fastens his seatbelt, casually confirming he doesn't have one yet. The swordsman's mind races, unable to reconcile Suho's power with his lack of official status. He explains that the military clears out the initial monster waves. leaving only the leftovers for hunters. To truly level up, he continues, one must conquer higher-level dungeons and absorb dimensional energy. The swordsman recalls the immense dangers that even low-level dungeons present to seasoned hunters. He then questions how a complete rookie could have possibly defeated a C-rank hunter like Yusik. Suho turns, genuinely puzzled by the man's frantic line of questioning. Cutting to the chase, the swordsman nervously asks Suho to reveal his official rank. The truck suddenly lurches, rattling precariously close to a cliff's edge. Ignoring the immediate danger, Suho calmly states that he has a favor to ask. The swordsman stares back, utterly confused by the sudden proposition. He begins to recount his past, starting with the glowing dungeon entrance. Inside, a full military convoy was stationed, prepared for the dungeon's horrors. He recalls a moment when a hunter unleashed a powerful, crackling aura. That hunter was him, looking grim and determined as he powered up for battle. But his memory turns dark, showing his squad retreating with heavy casualties. A close-up reveals a comrade's agonizing injury, a stark reminder of the dungeon's danger. They desperately carried their wounded back to the convoy, shouting for a medic. The swordsman leader angrily questions the low standards for new hunters, vowing to find who recruited them. His subordinate tries to calm him, citing their guild's difficult situation as a reason for the lax recruitment. The captain's face twists in pure frustration, clenching his teeth at the memory. He recalls how wealthy kids can easily become hunters by simply finishing off a captured monster. These new recruits then hire experienced hunters to carry them through missions, gaining easy entry into guilds. But in a real fight, these rookies freeze in fear, forcing their teammates to cover for their incompetence. His companion tries to placate him, suggesting they just shake it off and get a drink. The captain's attention is drawn to the heavy military presence. Wondering about the commotion near the dungeon, he approaches a soldier, determined to get a report on the situation. The soldier informs him that 10 vandals were brought in, a piece of news that catches the captain by surprise. The soldier reveals that one of the captured men is the infamous C-rank hunter, Gyusik Choi. The captain is stunned, recognizing the notorious hunter's name immediately. He's then told that Gyusik was taken down by an unlicensed, F-rank rookie, leaving him speechless. The captain and his subordinate exchange looks of disbelief, struggling to comprehend the news. The soldier elaborates that the rookie left Gyusik with severe injuries before he was carried away. A sudden realization dawns on the captain as he connects the story to a mysterious figure he saw earlier. He grabs the soldier, urgently demanding the rookie's location, and learns he just entered the portal. Without a moment's hesitation, the captain's foot slams down as he prepares to run. He dashes toward the dungeon entrance, ignoring his subordinate's confused calls from behind. A look of fierce determination crosses his face, realizing this rookie could be a game-changer. The captain's subordinate desperately calls out, chasing after his leader who is sprinting away. Captain Kang ignores him, dashing past a confused soldier with a look of fierce urgency. A communications officer watches the captain's frantic approach, completely baffled by his behavior. The captain urgently questions the officer, demanding to know which door the rookie who captured Gyusik entered. Meanwhile, Suho and the swordsman emerge on the other side of the crackling dungeon portal. Suho is amazed to find himself and his clothes completely unscathed by the dimensional passage. The swordsman explains that only their expensive, dungeon-forged gear allows them to pass through unharmed. Suho's attention is suddenly drawn to a strange phenomenon just ahead of them. A bright, humming rectangle of light materializes in the air before the two hunters. The swordsman casually identifies the glowing anomaly as a door, a common sight within dungeons. The swordsman reveals this portal is a hub connecting to 38 different dungeons, and they've just entered number 24. The glowing gateway behind them crackles violently with unstable energy, sealing their entry point. In a flash of light, the portal vanishes, trapping them inside until the dungeon is cleared. Suho learns that clearing the dungeon doesn't mean total annihilation, but simply defeating its strongest monster. Casually cracking his knuckles, Suho tells the swordsman to wait there, as he'll handle it alone. The swordsman is stunned, unable to comprehend Suho's intention to tackle the dungeon solo. Without another word, Suho plants his foot firmly, preparing to launch himself into the fray. He explodes forward with incredible speed, shattering the earth and leaving his companion in the dust. Left in awe, the swordsman wonders if Suho is one of the legendary, almost mythical hunters from the stories. He then realizes that with such power, Suho might just clear this low-level dungeon in record-breaking time. The swordsman's eyes widen in a moment of sudden, dawning horror. He realizes Suho lacks tracking skills, a fatal flaw for finding the exit portal. Panicked, he sprints after Suho, knowing the rookie will be trapped forever if he can't find his way back. Back at the command center, Captain King arrives just as the officer reports that door 24 has closed. The officer confirms the grim news: the portal the rookie entered has just shut down. The captain grits his teeth in pure frustration, realizing he was too late to stop him. Meanwhile, deep within the dungeon's misty forest, monster sounds echo through the trees. Clawed feet stomp through the undergrowth, heralding the approach of the dungeon's inhabitants. A trio of grotesque, spear-wielding goblins snarls as they patrol their territory. Suddenly, a much larger, shark-toothed beast senses a powerful tremor. Turning its head in confusion, a massive goblin is violently slammed into the ground, its shriek cut short by the brutal impact. Its companion lets out a silent scream of shock, completely stunned by the sudden, overwhelming assault. Before it can react, another goblin is sent flying backward from a devastating blow. The creature's body crashes and skids across the dirt, stopping at the feet of the mysterious attacker, Suho. Suho calmly steps forward, eyeing the fallen goblin's spear before reaching down to claim it. He swiftly dispatches the last remaining monster, using its own weapon to deliver the final blow. With the fight over, Suho wrinkles his nose in disgust at the foul stench of the defeated creature. He pulls a gleaming red bloodstone from the monster's remains, examining his prize. Suho notes that only one of the 3 goblins yielded a bloodstone, but he remains unconcerned, already satisfied with his earnings. A system window materializes before him, as his focus shifts to what truly matters: leveling up. The swordsman finally catches up, only to find a valley littered with defeated monsters. He stands in awe amidst the carnage, admitting he's completely lost count of Suho's kills. Focusing his energy, the swordsman's eyes glow as he activates his tracking skill. A distant roar catches his attention, and he immediately pinpoints Suho's new location. Meanwhile, Suho calmly reviews his performance stats after his rampage, standing over his handiwork. He sees he has enough points to acquire 2 new druid skills, beast taming and tree spirit summoning. Deciding on his first ability, he prepares to select the beast taming skill. Before he can confirm, 2 more goblins leap from the trees, interrupting his upgrade. Suho turns to face the ambush with an unimpressed, steady gaze. He effortlessly intercepts the attack, delivering a devastating blow to the creature's face. Suho unleashes a flurry of brutal punches, taking on both goblins at once. His fists connect with bone-crushing force, overwhelming the creatures completely. He effortlessly continues his assault, sending the monsters reeling from the devastating combo. As the last goblin falls, a system window confirms his impressive performance score. The final blow triggers a welcome notification, confirming he has successfully leveled up. But his celebration is cut short by a startling critical error message from the system. He stares at the notification, confused by the recurring data clash and the mention of additional synchronization. A moment later, his new status screen appears, showing him at level 2 with significantly boosted stats. Suho seems relieved, observing that despite the strange error, his stats have increased just fine. With his new power confirmed, he decides to spend his points, reaching to acquire the tree spirit summoning skill. A system window confirms Suho has successfully acquired the tree spirit summoning skill. With a look of intense focus, he decides to test his new ability immediately. A brilliant light bursts from his chest as he activates the summoning skill. A small, fairy-like creature with leaf wings materializes before him, its form sparkling with energy. He recalls seeing this same glowing light earlier, realizing he had mistaken the spirit for a unique firefly. Suho commands his new tree spirit to locate all the remaining goblins in the area. The spirit acknowledges its orders and flutters away, becoming a glowing orb of light. It zips through the dense forest, beginning its reconnaissance mission. Suho realizes the spirit is transferring information directly to him, but finds the process slow due to his low level. He pulls up his status window again, discovering his new druid class has granted him search and track skills. Suho examines the descriptions for his new search and track skills. He decides to spend his remaining points to acquire both skills at once. To test his new abilities, he places his hand on the ground to connect with the terrain. He closes his eyes, focusing his senses to activate the search skill. A pulse of energy radiates from him, scanning the immediate landscape for information. He realizes the search skill only provides information about the terrain itself. Undeterred, he activates his track skill, his eyes glowing with a new power. However, the skill only reveals the traces of the goblins he has already defeated. Suddenly, his senses pick up something unexpected, catching him completely off guard. A low growl echoes from the mist, and he realizes he's detected a new, more powerful presence. A confident smirk spreads across Suho's face as he realizes this new foe is far more interesting than a mere goblin. Meanwhile, the swordsman dashes through the forest at incredible speed, closing in on the commotion. He skids to a sudden stop, digging his heels into the dirt with practiced ease. Arriving on a rocky ledge, the swordsman halts, surveying the scene below him. Suho turns his head, his expression hardening as he spots the unexpected rival. Below, the swordsman is pinned to the ground by a massive hobgoblin, a blade pressed against him. From his vantage point, Suho coolly observes the swordsman's predicament, questioning his presence. The trapped swordsman looks up, his face a mixture of terror and desperate relief at seeing Suho. Suho's expression darkens, clearly annoyed that the swordsman ignored his instructions to stay back. With a strained look, the swordsman admits that instead of hunting, he has become the prey. Suho smirks, fully understanding the swordsman's predicament. The swordsman trembles, straining against the blade pressed to his throat. His composure breaks completely as he silently begs for his life. The hobgoblin is suddenly alerted by a new presence, its attention shifting from its prey. Suho flies through the air, shattering the monster's shield with a devastating kick. The impact sends the massive creature tumbling away, freeing the stunned swordsman. The hobgoblin quickly digs its feet in, halting its fall to regain its footing. It recovers instantly, crouching low and preparing to swing its massive sword. Before it can act, Suho is on it, delivering a bone-shattering punch to its jaw. The creature is launched backward, smashing violently into the nearby cliff face. Without hesitation, Suho dashes forward, refusing to give the monster a single moment to recover. The hobgoblin groans in agony, its jaw mangled from the devastating impact. He plants his foot firmly, preparing to leap and deliver the final blow. Soaring through the air, Suho raises his dagger high above the dazed creature. He plunges his blade deep into the monster's head, triggering an instant level-up notification. A system window confirms his 120 performance points, and he realizes this dungeon is a gold mine for leveling. The swordsman watches in stunned silence, utterly speechless at Suho's overwhelming power. Suho retrieves his dagger as the hobgoblin's body begins to dissolve into particles. He calmly wipes his blade clean, his expression unreadable after the swift execution. The rescued swordsman, finally finding his voice, asks about the identity of his mysterious savior. Instead of answering, Suho coolly inquires if the dungeon gate is about to open. The swordsman, still shaken from his ordeal, stammers that it should be opening soon. A shimmering light surrounds the two men, pulling them out of the instant's dungeon. They reappear outside near a military vehicle, catching the attention of the station's soldiers. The guards instantly recognize Suho as the person their captain was looking for. A wave of panic hits one soldier who realizes he failed to report Suho's exit. His colleague stares in disbelief, questioning the unbelievably short clear time. The swordsman gives a grateful salute and departs. While Suho heads off to return his borrowed equipment, his path leads him down a quiet hallway to a door marked stockroom. Suho pushes the door open and steps inside, ready to change his gear. Now out of his gear, Suho is suddenly struck by a powerful hunger. His keen senses immediately detect another presence in the room. He turns to find a stranger addressing him by name, and Suho coolly asks for the man's identity. With an intense grin, the man introduces himself as Captain Manhua Kang of the Shilla Guild and requests a private word. The scene shifts, showing the two men now sitting at a cafe counter, ready to discuss the captain's proposition.
Hello everyone, subscribe to my channel to not miss new trending manhwa.
The man confirms he's from the Shilla Guild, catching the protagonist's attention. He extends an invitation to join, promising the best environment for advancement. But the protagonist casually sips his coffee and turns down the generous offer. The recruiter is left completely stunned by the immediate rejection. He internally questions if this is just a negotiation tactic for a higher payout. Switching strategies, he offers to poach him if he's already in another guild. The young man calmly states he isn't affiliated with any guild. The recruiter presses on, guaranteeing a top-tier deal that no other guild can match. The protagonist decisively sets his coffee cup down, ready to end the conversation. He reveals with a smirk that he simply doesn't like working under others. The recruiter is left speechless, his confidence completely shattered by the simple rejection. The scene transitions to a peaceful afternoon at a modest-looking building. Back at home, the protagonist enters an empty room, a solitary figure in the quiet space. He looks around, noticing the absence of his family and wondering where they've gone. The clear blue sky sets a tranquil mood for the rest of his day. He decides to relax on the rooftop, assuming his family is out enjoying some quality time. His peaceful moment is interrupted by his grandmother, who arrives with a laundry basket and a pointed question. Unfazed, he flashes a charming smile and suggests she join him for a nap in the lovely weather. She briskly refuses, getting to her chores, while he playfully gives her instructions from his lounging position. Moments later, he's up and helping her, the two of them hanging laundry together on the rooftop. As they work, his grandmother questions if he's truly his brother's older sibling. He confirms her suspicion with a calm, knowing smile. She's astounded by his youthful appearance, playfully asking if he ages in reverse. The protagonist jokes that he's older than he looks, earning a light-hearted rebuke. He then explains that in this chaotic world, his youthful look is hardly the strangest thing. Her expression softens as she reminds him it's been 10 years, and pleads for him to stay safe for his family. He listens to her heartfelt words with a confident, reassuring expression. He boasts that he's not easy to kill, but she scolds him, saying such foolish confidence gets people killed. Just then, his brother and nephew arrive, asking the grandmother for his whereabouts. The family, plus a small dog, reunites on the rooftop with his nephew excitedly calling out to him. An envelope appears on the table, drawing the attention of the family's small dog. The protagonist's brother gestures to the mysterious envelope, asking what it is. He coolly reveals it's 50 million won, a gift to clear his brother's debts. His brother is left utterly stunned by the life-changing amount of money. Holding the envelope, he nervously questions the origin of such a large sum. The protagonist dismisses his concerns, urging him to settle the debt before dinner. Overwhelmed with gratitude, his brother struggles to find the words to thank him. With a confident smirk, he tells his brother to stop wasting time and get going. His brother, overcome with emotion, wipes away a tear and agrees to leave immediately. The protagonist calls out his brother's name, his expression unreadable but firm. His brother glances back, still processing the life-altering gift. The protagonist adds a final request: bring back meat and soju for a family feast. Overjoyed, his brother promises to return quickly, entrusting his son to the protagonist's care. While his nephew and the dog play, a system window appears before the protagonist. The system prompts him to assign a name to his new canine follower. Turning to his nephew, he lets the boy decide on a name for their new pet. He warmly accepts his nephew's enthusiastic suggestion of Beku. A system notification confirms the name, revealing the dog's stats as it barks excitedly. He tests the dog's abilities by throwing a ball, which Beku chases with incredible speed, amazing the young boy. The protagonist shares a laugh with his nephew, calling the energetic dog back to them. As evening falls, the sun sets over the quiet neighborhood. Back on the rooftop, his nephew complains of hunger, impatiently waiting for his father's return. The protagonist hears an engine roar and assumes his brother has finally arrived. A white truck screeches to a halt just outside their building. He decides to head down and meet him, taking a step towards the exit. The nephew and Beku rush down the stairs ahead of him, eager for the reunion. But the man who emerges is his brother, battered and covered in blood. The boy's excitement turns to horror as his father weakly utters the protagonist's name. The injured man stumbles forward, barely able to stay on his feet. He collapses to the ground in front of his horrified son. The protagonist's calm demeanor shatters, replaced by a cold, murderous fury as his family cries out in shock. The scene cuts to a shady loan office, the likely source of his brother's predicament. Inside, a group of gangsters casually play cards, oblivious to the storm about to hit them. At a nearby desk, two men discuss the betting rewards for an upcoming match. They chat about the next big fight, noting how the public is betting heavily on one contender. A man with a scar complains bitterly about losing all his money on a previous bad bet. A sudden, violent noise from the outer office interrupts their idle chatter. The scarred man looks up in alarm, demanding to know what the commotion is. He angrily orders his underlings to check out the disturbance immediately. The office door slowly creaks open, heralding an unwelcome arrival. A dark, imposing figure blocks the doorway, his presence radiating pure menace. The gangsters inside fall silent, their expressions shifting from arrogance to alarm. A bloodied underling stumbles into the room, desperately trying to warn his boss of the danger. The protagonist grabs the terrified man by his hair, his grip unyielding. He effortlessly hurls the man back through the doorway with tremendous force. The remaining thugs stare in disbelief, stunned by the sudden and brutal display of power. Enraged, the scarred man leads the charge, determined to confront the mysterious intruder. The protagonist meets their rush with a devastating kick, sending one of the men flying backward. The gangster crashes into his comrade, and both are sent tumbling through a glass table. Undeterred, the remaining two gangsters draw a knife, their faces contorted with rage as they prepare to attack. A swirling vortex of dark energy fills the doorway, halting the gangsters' charge. Piercing blue eyes emerge from the shadows, radiating pure, unadulterated rage. The two thugs scream with fury, brandishing their knife as they prepare to attack the figure. The dark presence remains unmoving, a silent challenge to their aggression. Those glowing eyes seem to promise nothing but pain, causing a moment of hesitation. The protagonist breaks the standoff, taking a single, deliberate step into the room. He instantly grabs the lead attacker by the face, his grip crushing and absolute. With shocking ease, he lifts the full-grown man completely off the ground. Dark energy crackles around his arm as he holds the gangster suspended in the air with one hand. The other thugs are left speechless, their minds unable to process the impossible feat before them. He slams the gangster into a table, sending the other men flying in a chaotic crash. The force of the impact shatters a nearby window, sending glass flying everywhere. Bodies and furniture collide, adding to the destruction as the office is torn apart. Without pausing, he slams another gangster face first into the unforgiving floor. A remaining thug can only watch in terror as his comrade is thrown past him like a ragdoll. The thrown man crashes through yet another glass surface, his fall ending abruptly. The protagonist pins the defeated man's head to the ground with his foot, asserting total dominance. The scarred boss breaks into a cold sweat, his previous arrogance completely gone. He calmly walks through the carnage he created, stepping over the bodies of the fallen gangsters. The last two men back away from their desk, utterly terrified as the protagonist closes in. The subordinate frantically asks his boss if he recognizes the terrifying intruder. A horrifying realization dawns on him as he speculates the man might be a powerful returnee. Without a word, the protagonist sends a heavy desk flying towards them with a single kick. The desk slams into the gangsters, pinning them against the wall in a painful trap. Office equipment shatters into pieces from the force of the impact. He takes another calm, deliberate step forward, his presence overwhelming the room. He looms over the trapped boss and calmly asks for his name, seeking a man named Jong Soo-kim. The boss, drenched in a cold sweat, reluctantly confirms he is the man the protagonist is looking for. Fear finally breaks his composure as he demands to know the identity of his assailant. The protagonist places an envelope on the desk, declaring he's there to settle Junho's debt. The boss sweats, grudgingly admitting the protagonist is on a completely different level. He desperately questions the legality of a returnee attacking a citizen and destroying his office. The gangster glances sideways in confusion, not understanding the protagonist's cold logic. A swift, brutal strike from the protagonist shatters the boss's composure and his teeth. The protagonist counters, asking why they would harm someone who came peacefully to settle a debt. He delivers another punishing blow, reminding the boss that he should have simply taken the money. The gangster's head is rocked back and forth by a relentless series of powerful strikes. Blood splatters violently as the boss chokes from the brutal assault. Completely broken, the gangster pleads for his life, his tough exterior utterly shattered. His pleas are met with another merciless strike, his words falling on deaf ears. He offers the gangster a choice: clear the debt now or suffer the consequences. Through tears and terror, the boss frantically agrees to settle the matter. The protagonist takes a seat on the desk, now addressing all the defeated gangsters. He forces the battered boss and his men to announce that the debt is officially cleared. Unsatisfied with their volume, he demands they repeat their declaration with more conviction. The gangsters scream in unison, confirming that Junho Park's loan has been completely settled. He delivers a final cold warning, promising severe repercussions if he ever sees them again. In a display of total submission, the entire group bows deeply on the floor before him. The gangsters shuffle backward on their knees, not daring to rise as he prepares to leave. The boss remains prostrate, sweating in silent, utter defeat. The boss's eyes narrow with cold fury, a single bead of sweat tracing a path down his bruised face. A subordinate cautiously informs his boss that their terrifying visitor has finally left the premises. Fueled by pure rage, the boss vows to use his connections to ensure the protagonist pays dearly for this humiliation. The scene shifts to the imposing headquarters of the Shilla Guild, gleaming under the night sky. Inside, a man with a sword at his hip dashes down a corridor toward the talent management team's office. He bursts into the room with urgent news, startling a man identified as Deputy Park. The newcomer directs Deputy Park's attention to a computer screen, insisting he look at some important information. On the screen is the profile of Suho Park, flagged as an F rank, but described as an epic newbie. Deputy Park reacts with disbelief, shocked that a newly registered F rank is causing such a stir. The other man smirks, finding the low rank all the more impressive, and eagerly asks to see the full file. An access denied message flashes on the screen, blocking them from viewing the file. The two men stare in disbelief, completely baffled by the unexpected security lock. The colleague grows impatient, demanding Deputy Park find a way to bypass the system. Deputy Park's fingers fly across the keyboard as he attempts to hack into the protected file. With a final tap, he successfully breaches the security and gains access to the hidden data. Both men are left speechless, staring intently at the newly revealed information on the screen. They are stunned by his incredible record, finding it hard to believe he's only an F rank. Deputy Park grows suspicious, questioning the motive behind locking such a promising hunter's file. He notes that the mysterious hunter is unaffiliated with any guild, deepening the intrigue. The colleague urges him to dig deeper, specifically requesting to see his awakened skills. Deputy Park is bewildered by the skill description, questioning the power of materializing bread and water. His colleague stares back, equally confused by the seemingly mundane ability. The deputy asks incredulously if the protagonist really captured a target using basic provisions. A flashback shows the protagonist overwhelming an enemy with a barrage of materialized food and drinks. Deputy Park's suspicion deepens as he notes the file states the hunter was missing for 10 years. The colleague theorizes that he must be a highly trained government agent, not a normal hunter. He intensely considers the implications of the protagonist being affiliated with the government. Deputy Park abandons the idea of recruitment, now almost certain the hunter is a government operative. He leans back smugly, stating this explains the hunter's calm demeanor and the locked file. His colleague, accepting defeat, suggests they abandon their investigation and get some coffee. As they walk away, the colleague dismisses the mystery, but his partner remains puzzled by the agent's presence in a level 1 dungeon. The sword wielder stops, instructing Deputy Park to keep a close eye on the protagonist's movements. He demands weekly reports on any unusual activity, much to the busy deputy's annoyance. The scene shifts to the impressive exterior of Simsang Hospital. The protagonist enters a hospital room, carrying a large bag of takeout. He greets his friend Junho with a warm smile, happy to see him awake. Junho, his head wrapped in bandages, turns and greets his friend in return. Sitting together, Junho asks why he brought so much food, but the protagonist insists he needs to eat well to recover. A close-up shot reveals a massive feast of fried chicken, burgers, and fries. Junho happily reports that he's feeling much better and his bandages will be removed tomorrow. Junho brings up the protagonist hunter exam, which is scheduled for the very next day. His friend expresses hope that he'll join a guild after passing the test. A flashback reveals his past life where he reigned as the supreme king of the forest. He reflects on his former status, finding the idea of taking orders from a boss completely unappealing. Eager to help, Junho offers to research some of the top-tier guilds for him. With a knowing smirk, the protagonist flatly rejects his friend's well-intentioned offer. He confidently states that joining an existing guild won't be necessary at all. He then reveals his true ambition. He's going to start his own guild from scratch. Junho is left utterly speechless, shocked by his friend's bold and unexpected plan. The scene then cuts away to a towering, state-of-the-art skyscraper, hinting at a new development. Inside the building, a formidable blonde woman with a katana at her side strides down the corridor. A man, identified as a director, calls out her name, Suyong, causing her to pause. She turns to face him, her hair now in a ponytail, and addresses him with professional courtesy. The director confronts her about her recent performance, but she feigns ignorance. He explodes with anger, reminding her that her negligence almost led to the destruction of Seoul. Suyong scoffs, questioning if the department can even function without her constant supervision. Her boss, completely stressed, begs her to get her act together so he can stop getting chewed out. She casually suggests quitting, much to the director's utter disbelief and frustration. He desperately implores her to use her incredible skills and intuition instead of wasting them. Suyong finally relents, admitting with a weary expression that she's been struggling to concentrate. The director cuts her off, handing her a new assignment. Suyong is furious to learn she's being dispatched just as she was about to relax. Her boss tells her to stop complaining, pointing out that this is part of her job. She storms away in frustration, leaving the director yelling after her. He desperately reminds her they're short-staffed and need her to approve as many new hunters as possible. Suyong snaps back, arguing she won't be responsible for sending unprepared rookies to their deaths. The scene changes to the Hunter Association building, where the exam is being held. Inside, a massive crowd of nervous applicants waits, with one person vowing to pass on their 4th attempt. A hopeful applicant livestreams his experience, promising his viewers hunting content if he passes. He ends his broadcast with a classic call to action, asking his followers to like and subscribe. The streamer celebrates a generous donation, already dreaming of the profits from future dungeon content. His money-making fantasy is cut short as 3 uniformed inspectors enter the examination hall. Announcing the inspector's arrival, he quickly ends his broadcast, citing the no-filming policy. Just as he signs off, the protagonist silently appears beside him, catching him off guard. The streamer defensively questions the protagonist's interest, mistaking his approach for simple curiosity. Ignoring the attitude, the protagonist leans in close, asking who the streamer was talking to. Annoyed by the personal space invasion, the streamer questions the protagonist's strange behavior. At the front of the hall, Major Yong-soo Kim officially begins the 3-day hunter examination. The major reveals that a team of 21 inspectors will be judging every applicant's performance. Hopefuls in the crowd begin whispering, identifying the lenient Captain Park and the notoriously strict witch. The major explains that inspectors will be assigned by a random raffle, sealing each applicant's fate. He instructs them to form lines in front of their designated inspector as their numbers are called. The hopefuls begin to file out, their expressions a mix of anxiety and determination. One unlucky applicant is horrified to be assigned to Inspector 15. Convinced his chances are now zero. The protagonist's name is called next, and he's also assigned to the dreaded Inspector 15. He looks up from the crowd, a flicker of confusion crossing his face as he processes the assignment. His gaze travels up to the inspector standing before the number 15 sign. Standing there is Soo-young, the very same elite hunter from the earlier confrontation with her boss. A knowing smirk spreads across his face as he recognizes the formidable blondie. Soo-young glances over, her expression unreadable as she sizes up the new applicant before her. The protagonist looks down at the despairing streamer with an unbothered, confident smirk. Soo-young's eye widens in a brief moment of surprise as she observes the new applicant. The major's instructions echo through the hall, directing the swarm of candidates to their rooms. Applicants gossip as they move, with some feeling lucky and others dreading their assignment. A few candidates discover a sparring room, impressed by the professional-grade facility. The protagonist calmly walks through the hallway, heading toward his assigned location. The streamer leans against a door, lamenting his terrible luck and fearing failure. The camera focuses on the sign above the door, confirming it's the waiting room for Inspector 15. Inside, the other applicants assigned to Soo-young are already stowing their gear and waiting. The protagonist pauses as he enters the room, his attention immediately drawn to something. His attention is drawn to the streamer, who is adjusting his clothes with a look of despair. The protagonist sits down and coolly reminds the streamer of his earlier, more cheerful demeanor. The streamer looks up, annoyed and confused by the sudden confrontation. A smug smile crosses the protagonist's face as he recalls. They're both assigned to the same inspector. The streamer sarcastically offers a performance, but the protagonist simply asks what he's talking about. Changing the subject, the streamer warns him about their inspector, explaining why she's called the witch. The protagonist's expression hardens, intrigued by the inspector's fearsome reputation. The streamer reveals that she's known for failing entire teams at once, costing them their expensive application fee. The protagonist counters logically, stating that failure is a result of incompetence, not the inspector's mood. The streamer glares, stunned into silence by the protagonist's blunt and unwelcome dose of reality. The streamer seethes, having disliked the protagonist from the very start. The protagonist meets his glare with a calm, unbothered expression. Trying to assert dominance, the streamer warns him to show some respect for his elders. Unimpressed, the protagonist challenges him to settle their disagreement with a fight. A confident smirk spreads across the protagonist's face as he suggests a place to settle things. Their argument draws the attention of the other applicants in the waiting room. The streamer's anger boils over, feeling like he's being taken for a fool. Without a hint of hesitation, the protagonist casually confirms the streamer's fears. Pushed to his limit, the streamer's face contorts with rage. He rips off his jacket, accepting the challenge as the protagonist calmly observes. The protagonist takes a confident step forward, leading the way out of the room. At the same time, Inspector Soo-young rushes down the hallway, sensing trouble. She enters the waiting room for Group 15, only to find it completely deserted. Her expression sours with annoyance as she wonders where her assigned applicants have disappeared. The scene cuts to an impressive sparring cage, a location someone ominously notes is perfect for a beatdown. Inside the octagon, the protagonist and the streamer prepare to fight while the other applicants watch nervously. The streamer smirks, warning the protagonist that he has picked a fight with the wrong person. Cracking his knuckles, he boasts about his identity as a popular combat streamer to intimidate his opponent. The protagonist appears genuinely confused, asking if a YouTuber is some kind of noodle dish. The streamer's face twists in utter disbelief, infuriated by the protagonist's clueless response. The other applicants eagerly watch, hoping to see the protagonist get put in his place. The streamer warms up, boasting that he enjoys teaching lessons to people like the protagonist. Unfazed, the protagonist grins, clearly looking forward to the confrontation. The streamer warns him that he won't be holding back in the slightest. He lunges forward, launching the first attack of their unsanctioned duel. Before a punch can land, a sudden force sends both men reeling backward. A powerful stomp cracks the ground, bringing the fight to an abrupt halt. The spectators are stunned to see Inspector Soo-young standing between the two fighters. The streamer freezes in sheer terror, recognizing their inspector, the infamous blonde witch. Soo-young's face is a mask of fury as she orders all of them back to the waiting room. The terrified applicants sprint down the hall, certain they're all doomed. Soo-young calmly approaches the two fighters, noting their apparent desire to be eliminated. The streamer desperately tries to explain the situation, while the protagonist watches silently. She cuts him off with a chilling proposal for one of them to take full responsibility. The streamer stares in disbelief, completely caught off guard by her suggestion. With a predatory smile, Soo-young declares that the loser of their fight will be eliminated. She gives the final, chilling command for the unsanctioned duel to begin. Both men are left speechless by the inspector's sudden and brutal terms. The streamer breaks into a cold sweat, realizing their inspector is even more unhinged than the rumors suggested. A single, determined step is taken, signaling an immediate acceptance of the challenge. The protagonist's expression is resolute, showing no hesitation to accept the brutal terms. He calmly closes the distance, stepping toward his stunned opponent. The streamer raises his fist, desperately trying to regain his bravado by taunting his opponent. With a confident smirk, the protagonist offers a mock apology for what's about to happen. Enraged by the condescending attitude, the streamer lunges forward with a furious shout. But the protagonist is faster, landing a single, decisive blow that connects squarely with his opponent's face. The streamer's legs give out from under him, his balance completely shattered by the impact. He collapses onto the hard floor, the fight over in an instant. The protagonist stands over his unconscious opponent, the undisputed winner of the duel. Inspector Suyong stares in disbelief, utterly shocked by the swift and brutal conclusion. A faint, satisfied smile plays on the protagonist's lips as he looks down at his handiwork. Suyong's mind races, finally putting a name to the source of the chaos, Suho Park. She realizes the unsettling feeling he gave her from the start was the distinct aura of an irregular. Unfazed by her intense stare, the protagonist takes a deliberate step toward her. He coolly questions why she's just observing from the sidelines. The inspector is momentarily taken aback by his direct and unexpected question. With a daring smirk, he boldly invites her into the ring if she also wants a piece of the action. Suyong's eyes narrow in fury, shocked by his utter audacity. He then offers a surprising deal, suggesting a way for the defeated streamer to avoid elimination. Her anger melts into a dangerous grin, intrigued by the sheer nerve of his proposal. He reaches down and picks up the defeated streamer's sword. With a casual flick, he tosses the weapon out of the ring entirely. Suyong's expression hardens as she directly asks if he is an irregular. The protagonist feigns ignorance, questioning the meaning of her term. Taking his response as a challenge, Suyong instantly dashes toward him. She declares with a fierce grin that she'll explain everything after she tests his survival skills. The protagonist is momentarily surprised by her sudden, aggressive advance. Without warning, she launches a powerful punch straight at his face. He narrowly dodges the attack, leaning back just in time to avoid the blow. He quickly regains his balance, planting his foot to prepare for a counter. Suyong immediately follows up with another punch, not giving him a moment to recover. The protagonist reacts instantly, deflecting her fist with a well-timed parry. He crosses his arms, barely managing to block a furious barrage of strikes. Using her momentum, she transitions into a powerful spinning kick aimed at his head. The sheer force of her assault sends him skidding backward across the floor. He endures the relentless flurry, his expression hardening as he withstands the onslaught. A flicker of surprise crosses his face as he gauges the true depth of her strength. Suyong leaps into the air, raising the stakes by offering him another wish if he can defeat her. She unleashes a devastating kick that connects squarely, sending him flying across the ring. The protagonist is thrown off his feet, completely overwhelmed by her sudden surge of power. Midair after her attack, Suyong senses there's something deeply unsettling about her opponent. She lands gracefully, the sound of her feet hitting the floor echoing in the silence. A sudden clatter from above breaks her concentration, leaving her momentarily confused. Her confusion instantly turns to wide-eyed shock as she realizes where the sound came from. Instead of being defeated, the protagonist clings to the cage fence, having used her kick to launch himself upward. He looks down with a smug grin, casually complimenting her impressive power. Suyong's expression darkens, infuriated that he's completely unfazed by her strongest attack. Unwilling to accept the stalemate, she immediately propels herself toward him for another strike. With a look of pure determination, she decides that the warm-up is officially over. She unleashes another vicious kick, putting even more force behind it this time. She uses the cage wall as a launch pad, vaulting high into the air for another attack. The protagonist drops back to the floor, landing firmly to meet her charge. Crackling with blue energy, Suyong dives down from above for a devastating aerial strike. He braces himself as she rockets toward him, her body a blur of motion. She closes the remaining distance in an instant, her form wreathed in lightning. The inspector unleashes a furious barrage of strikes, hammering away at his guard. But in a shocking turn, he catches her foot mid-kick, halting her assault completely. He looks up with a confident gaze, having successfully neutralized her attack. With a powerful twist, he uses her own momentum to slam her against the floor. A predatory grin spreads across his face, revealing he's finally getting serious. Suyong grits her teeth in frustration, completely caught off guard by his reversal. He immediately turns the tables, sending her flying with a powerful spinning kick. In a desperate move, she summons a crackling energy shield to defend herself. His follow-up strike shatters her hastily formed barrier with contemptuous ease. The sheer force of the blow sends her crashing hard onto the ring floor. Her hand scrapes across the ground, trailing sparks of fading blue energy. She finally skids to a halt, digging in her heels to stop her momentum. Her eyes widen in utter disbelief, shocked that he broke her shield. With a predatory grin, the protagonist dashes forward, declaring it's his turn now. Soo-young seethes with rage, unable to react as he closes in for the final blow. He grins with pure exhilaration, declaring that he's thoroughly enjoying their fight. Soo-young smirks, her suspicions confirmed as she confidently identifies him as an irregular. His fist halts midair just inches from her face, leaving him momentarily stunned. He digs his heel into the ground, bringing his powerful charge to an abrupt halt. She holds up a single hand, effortlessly stopping his punch with an unseen barrier of energy. With a calm but firm expression, she signals that their confrontation is over. Looking away, she unexpectedly concedes defeat, declaring him the winner of their bout. He questions her sudden surrender. Clearly disappointed the fight is ending just as he was getting into it. She explains that the cage is too small for them to use their full power, and suggests they continue their fight elsewhere. He gives a wry smile, playfully calling her a buzzkill for postponing their thrilling battle. Soo-young begrudgingly honors their deal, demanding to know his wish. He curiously asks if Earth has other women with her level of strength, to which she confidently says no. With a charming smile, he makes an audacious proposal to start a family with her. She is left completely speechless by his unexpected and bizarre request. He clarifies his intentions with a blunt and primal suggestion. Her response is a swift, hard strike across his face as a third party awakens in the background. The man who was previously knocked out groans, slowly coming back to his senses. He dazedly tries to piece together the chaotic scene, confused about his own situation. Enraged by the protagonist's audacity, Soo-young grabs her sword and advances menacingly. The bewildered onlooker is left speechless, a faint mark on his cheek hinting at his own recent encounter. The dazed man clutches his face, shocked that he was taken down with a single blow. He suddenly remembers the terms of the fight and despairs over his wasted registration fee. Overcome with embarrassment, he kneels in defeat, ready to leave the premises. The protagonist watches from the cage as the man prepares to make his exit. The defeated man glares back, angrily questioning the protagonist's satisfaction. But the protagonist simply smiles, informing him that their business isn't finished yet. His unexpected words leave the other man utterly baffled. Unseen by the fighters, a security camera swivels to focus on the unfolding drama. The camera's lens zooms in, capturing every detail of the confrontation. Elsewhere, a mysterious figure monitors the entire situation from a high-tech control room. The observer stares in utter shock, realizing that Soo-young has actually been defeated.
Hello everyone, subscribe to my channel to not miss new trending manhwa.
The dark-haired man walks off, telling his companion it's time to leave. The gray-haired man rushes after him, confused why he can't just walk away freely. He's shocked to hear his friend had to pull strings just to get him out of trouble. He then asks about the slap, but his friend tells him not to worry about it. The gray-haired man is left speechless, trying to connect the dots. Suddenly, a powerful realization hits him. He finally understands that the slap was the price for his own freedom. The weight of this sacrifice brings tears to his eyes. He looks at his friend's back with immense admiration, seeing him as a true man. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he breaks down completely, calling out to his brother-in-arms. Filled with newfound respect, the gray-haired man cheerfully hops after his hero. Their departure is cut short by an official announcement summoning Suho Park. The sudden call leaves his friend baffled, but Suho calmly accepts the summons. He proceeds alone toward the inspector's room, ready to face what's next. Inside, Suho sits opposite a stern-looking official in a formal setting. He cuts straight to the point, demanding to know why he was called in. The inspector warns him that their conversation is being officially recorded. The official then asks a loaded question: is Suho an irregular? Suho admits this isn't the first time he's been asked, but he still doesn't know what the term means. His apparent ignorance gives the inspector pause, who considers his next move carefully. The inspector realizes Suho is completely in the dark about the nature of bridge portals. He lays out the cosmic map, revealing Earth's connection to 3 distinct planets. The first planet, Aruka, is home to elves and dwarves, with whom humanity maintains peaceful relations. Returnees from this world are masters of magic and artifact creation. Next is Hades, a chaotic realm where humanity's relationship with its monster tribes teeters between trade and war. Finally, there's Midder, a hostile world of giants and ogres where conflict is inevitable. The inspector explains that those who return from these planets with unclassifiable powers are deemed irregulars. Suho finds the interdimensional politics a bit much to take in. He then calmly informs the official that he's not from any of those places. The inspector is left utterly baffled, his line of questioning hitting a dead end. The inspector's mind races, dismissing the idea that a mere F-rank returning could defeat a B-rank. Desperate for an answer, the official demands to know which planet Suho hails from. Suho calmly reveals his unbelievable past, 1,000 years spent running with wolves. The inspector's face darkens, utterly floored by the sheer absurdity of Suho's story. Seeing the conversation has reached its end, Suho asks to be dismissed, and the official numbly agrees. Regaining a semblance of composure, the inspector formally dismisses Suho back to his duties. Suho exits the room, leaving the inspector alone with his bewildering thoughts. The official grapples with the interview, finding Suho's tale too outlandish to accept as truth. His contemplation is interrupted by the arrival of Sergeant Sang-sik Kim, who reports for duty. The inspector confirms the summons, preparing to give the sergeant his next set of orders. The inspector unexpectedly orders Sergeant Kim to take over as the new inspector for Group 15. The sergeant questions the order, recalling that another inspector was already assigned to that post. With a frustrated sigh, the official reveals the original inspector has abandoned her duties. Sergeant Kim is taken aback, unable to comprehend how an inspector could simply walk away. Changing the subject, the official gives Kim a critical mission to surveil Suho Park and report his every action. An announcement suddenly crackles to life over the facility's PA system. All examinees are instructed to change into their uniforms and assemble on the track. For the next test, the candidates gather on the field, lining up in front of their designated group numbers. A new, stoic-looking inspector now stands watch over Group 15. Suho's companions quickly notice the change, realizing their previous inspector has been replaced. The new inspector, Sergeant Sang-sik Kim, confidently introduces himself as the man in charge of Group 15. He lays out the grueling physical test, sarcastically calling the near-impossible standards a piece of cake. The gray-haired man nervously complains that the one-size-fits-all test is unfair. To those with non-physical abilities, the first candidate fails miserably, crossing the finish line far too late and getting immediately cut. She protests that healers deserve special consideration, but the inspector coldly dismisses her appeal with a harsh dose of reality. Next up is number 45, Dong-soo Han, who eagerly steps forward when his name is called. Dong-soo confidently boasts about his speed, while Suho quietly worries if he can even pass the first part of the test. Flashing a peace sign, Dong-soo gives Suho a cheerful and brotherly send-off before his run. Suho returns the gesture with a subtle, knowing smile of his own. At the sound of the whistle, Dong-soo explodes from the starting block, leaving a trail of dust in his wake. Dong-soo smashes the record, crossing the finish line in a blazing 8 seconds and easily passing the test. Without missing a beat, the inspector calls out the next name on his list, Suho Park. Suho approaches the starting line, locking his foot into the block with a firm click. He crouches low, his fingertips grazing the track as he gets into position. Coiled like a spring, Suho waits for the signal, his form perfectly balanced. His expression is one of pure, unwavering focus, ready for the challenge ahead. From the sidelines, Dong-soo enthusiastically cheers for his new friend. The inspector adjusts his glasses, his thumb hovering over the stopwatch, ready to judge Suho's performance. As the whistle blows, Suho explodes from the starting block with immense force. He launches down the track in a blur, leaving a cloud of dust in his wake. Dong-soo stares in disbelief, his earlier confidence completely forgotten. The inspector is equally stunned, his mouth agape at the impossible speed he just witnessed. The rest of the candidates are left gawking, utterly floored by Suho's inhuman display. Back in his office, the previous inspector, Major Kim, is interrupted by a ringing phone. He picks up to hear Sergeant Kim's urgent voice on the other end of the line. The sergeant breathlessly reports Suho's unbelievable exam results, mentioning he's sent video proof. The major's immediate concern is damage control, asking about the reporters present at the test. On the track, Sergeant Kim observes the media frenzy unfolding in the stands. The reporters are in a state of excitement, snapping photos and marveling at the epic display. As the chaos mounts, the major's phone begins to ring yet again. The call connects to Miso Kim, an official in the Returning Control Department. On the other end, Major Kim urgently instructs her to view the videos he sent of Suho Park. Miso Kim reacts with stunned disbelief at the major's frantic tone. A colleague explains that since Major Kim is a lie detection expert, his assessment of Suho must be true. The weight of the situation hits Miso as she realizes the major's wild reports were completely factual. She theorizes that Suho might be a powerful irregular from an undiscovered fourth planet. Springing into action, Miso immediately orders her subordinate to block the press from the testing grounds. Her subordinate hesitates, nervously showing her his phone with some bad news. It's too late. A news article detailing Suho's record-shattering run is already online. Enraged, Miso furiously commands her team to take down the articles and enforce a media blackout. Her subordinate confirms it's too late, showing her the viral article detailing Suho's impossible records. Miso furiously orders her team to scrub the internet and enforce a complete media embargo. Back at the track, the press erupts into a frenzy, their camera flashes illuminating the scene. Reporters swarm Suho as he tries to leave, desperately trying to get a statement. Suho glances back at the clamoring media with a cool, unbothered expression. Miso racks her brain, trying to reconcile Suho's F-rank classification with his awakened abilities. Suho's calm gaze suggests he's fully aware of the storm he has just unleashed. A shocking theory dawns on Miso. Suho might be a returnee from an undiscovered fourth planet. On Miso's command, a unit of security guards mobilizes to block the press and contain the chaos. Her initial panic turns to ambition as she realizes the immense opportunity this discovery represents for Korea. Security forms a human wall, struggling to contain the frenzied reporters desperate for a statement from Suho. Inside the cafeteria, other candidates murmur about the media swarm, all pointing to Suho as the cause. While reporters press against the glass, Suho and Dongsu eat their lunch, seemingly in their own world. Dongsu watches his new friend with a mix of awe and calculation, the media frenzy buzzing in the background. Completely unfazed, Suho heartily digs into his meal, refueling after his explosive performance. Dongsu reflects on his earlier defeat, now realizing Suho is no ordinary person and regretting not streaming their fight. Suho finally looks up from his food, catching Dongsu staring at him with an intense gaze. Caught off guard, Dongsu quickly changes the subject, nervously offering to get Suho some water. As Suho chugs water straight from the pitcher, Dongsu becomes certain that he's witnessing the rise of a legend. The focus shifts to the doorway marked with the number 15, signaling the next stage for the candidates. Inside the barracks, Suho casually rests on the floor while Dongsu sits on a bunk, contemplating their situation. Dongsu observes the rows of empty lockers, grimly noting that the other candidates didn't pass the test. Suho remains perfectly calm, resting with his eyes closed as if he doesn't have a care in the world. Dongsu's expression shifts to one of concern, believing their small team size is a major disadvantage. Suho opens his eyes, questioning Dongsu's anxiety with a look of genuine curiosity. Dongsu voices his strategic concerns, explaining that a dungeon raid is better with more people and diverse skills. Brimming with confidence, Suho dismisses the worry, claiming he can handle the entire mission by himself. Dongsu is momentarily stunned by the bold claim, a look of impressed disbelief on his face. He concedes Suho's incredible power but argues that varied skills are crucial for unpredictable dungeon environments. Deciding Dongsu worries too much, Suho pivots the conversation, asking about the new tube he overheard him mention earlier. Dongsu is baffled by Suho's ignorance, asking if he's been living on a deserted island. Suho's vague confirmation only deepens the mystery, leaving Dongsu to ponder his new friend's origins. Deciding to educate him, Dongsu pulls out his phone to give Suho a crash course on YouTube. He starts by explaining subscribers, showing off his own channel before Suho points to a more popular one. Suho is stunned to see a channel with over 1 million subscribers, which Dongsu explains is a popular eating show. They watch a streamer devour a mountain of food, with viewer donations flashing across the screen. Dongsu gets an idea, recalling Suho's own superhuman appetite from their earlier meal. He offers to connect Suho with his mukbang contacts, seeing a golden opportunity. Suho's eyes widen, his main concern being whether he'll get to eat all that food for free. Dongsu confirms with a sly grin, his mind already calculating the potential of this new venture. Suho surprises Dongsu with a friendly compliment, acknowledging him as a decent guy. Dongsu's mind races, recognizing Suho as all the perfect qualities for a YouTube star. However, Suho has a different kind of partnership in mind, seeing potential in Dongsu as well. He pivots from streaming and makes a shocking proposal for Dongsu to join his clan. Dongsu is left speechless, completely blindsided by the unexpected offer. Suho calmly waits for a response, while Dongsu tries to make sense of the situation. Dongsu questions Suho's ambition, asking if he's really starting his own clan instead of joining a guild. With unshakable confidence, Suho confirms he has no intention of working for anyone else. The gears in Dongsu's head start turning as he begins to grasp the implications. He realizes the golden ticket he's just been handed, teaming up with the test main attraction to film their dungeon raid. The scene flashes back to Dongsu's past, showing him getting knocked out cold in the boxing ring. He reflects on his poverty-stricken youth, where boxing was his only way forward. Despite his fierce determination, he continuously failed to secure his professional license. The catastrophe shattered his boxing dreams, leaving him to face a new reality where only hunters made real money. Seeing it as his last chance, he turned to combat streaming, only to be told he needed amazing content to make it. A brilliant realization dawns on him. Suho is the epic, once-in-a-lifetime content he's been searching for. Clenching his fist with newfound purpose, he eagerly accepts Suho's offer. Completely on board with their partnership, Suho expresses his approval and playfully holds him to the mukbang promise, causing an emotional Dongsu to sniffle. Tears of pure joy stream down his face as he concludes that networking is the ultimate key to success. A confused Suho asks why he's crying, but Dongsu quickly dismisses his concern. Trying to compose himself, Dongsu brings up a critical issue, explaining that a clan needs at least 3 members to be authorized. Suho processes this new information, realizing they are 1 person short for his plan. At that very moment, footsteps through the doorway, signaling an unexpected arrival. Both Suho and Dongsu turn in unison, alerted by the presence of a 3rd person. A formidable man dressed in monk's robes enters the room, carrying a weapon on his back. The 2 are left speechless, completely taken aback by the newcomer's unusual attire. Dongsu's mind reels, struggling to understand why a monk would be at a hunter exam. The monk calmly introduces himself as Mai Ongjin, the final member assigned to their group. Dongsu is utterly floored by the unbelievable reality of a monk hunter joining their team. Mai Ongjin calmly observes their shocked expressions, awaiting their response. A sudden screech from an intercom startles Dongsu and Suho, interrupting their conversation. An announcement crackles through the speaker, ordering all examinees to suit up and report for a briefing. The 2 exchange a look of surprise, questioning the unexpected summons for the entire group. Dongsu's confusion mounts, wondering why they're suddenly being called to action ahead of schedule. Suho also questions the timing, recalling that the dungeon mission was supposed to be the next day. Mai Ongjin calmly explains that surprise night missions are a known possibility, offering a quiet prayer. The possibility of a surprise mission sends Dongsu into a panic, while Suho remains composed. Later, the candidates are gathered in a briefing hall as an instructor begins to explain the dungeon. The instructor pauses for dramatic effect, building suspense before revealing the details of their test. He reveals their destination is a level 1 dungeon in Seoul's District 5, managed by the Phoenix Guild. Dongsu identifies the Phoenix Guild as a reputable, though not top-tier, organization. Suho questions the very concept of a guild managing a dungeon, revealing his ignorance once more. His friend is left utterly baffled, wondering if Suho is secretly an alien. A quick lesson explains that the government contracted private clans to manage the ever-spawning portals. These contracts evolved into guilds, creating a new global economy based on the dungeon industry. Suho grasps the core concept. Guilds are essentially government-approved hunting grounds for making money. He reflects on his original motive, which was simply missing the hunt with his wolf pack. A cunning grin spreads across his face as he realizes the greater implications of owning a territory. Dongsu points out a key advantage. Having their own dungeon means they won't have to pay to enter others. With a determined clench of his fist, Suho sets a new, grander goal. They will become a guild. Dongsu brings Suho back to reality, pointing out they first need to pass the hunter's test. While Dongsu questions Suho's focus, the instructor displays an image of their target portal. He identifies the portal as a level 1 dungeon on Highway 14, with only 15 days until its break. The instructor dismisses it as a low-value labyrinth dungeon with weak monsters and limited resources. With a smirk, the instructor concludes the briefing, leaving the candidates with minimal information. Dongsu panics, realizing the true threat isn't monsters, but the maze-like dungeon itself. He cries in despair, lamenting his lack of a search skill to navigate the labyrinth. Suho calmly turns, having overheard his new partner's desperate wish. He casually reveals that he has the exact search skill they need, leaving Dongsu stunned. Dongsu's despair instantly turns to sheer adoration, his faith in his new partner completely restored. Dongsu's mind reels, realizing Suho possessed this powerful skill before even attempting to become a hunter. He mentally tallies the exorbitant price of a search skill book, suddenly suspecting Suho is secretly wealthy. All the while, the monk Mai Ongjin remains silent, his stoic profile revealing nothing. Needing to assess their team's strength, Dongsu turns to the monk and asks what skills he possesses. A close-up on Mai Ongjin's eye reveals a sharp, focused gaze as he considers the question. His face remains a mask of calm indifference, offering no immediate response to Dongsu's inquiry. Both Suho and Dongsu watch him, but the monk appears genuinely confused by the question. After a brief, tense pause, the monk finally prepares to give his answer. Instead of speaking, he demonstrates, as a thin projectile strikes his wooden staff with a sharp thud. He then effortlessly intercepts another projectile with his gourd, revealing a skill of incredible precision. The scene flashes to a monstrous figure sprinting through a forest with earth-shattering force. It then cuts to a monk in deep meditation, his spiritual practice echoing like a steady drumbeat. His training ground is revealed to be a vast temple complex, where his discipline resonates through the night. A clawed beast screeches to an abrupt halt, startled by an unseen presence. An entire pack of grotesque monsters snarls in unison, their primal instincts on high alert. One of the creatures lets out a furious roar, its massive jaw wide with aggression. Back in the temple, the monk remains perfectly still, calmly reciting a sutra about the nature of reality. A far more terrifying, lizard-like beast emerges from the shadows, howling at the moon. Myongjin's focus sharpens, his mind completely detached from the chaos of the world. The perspective suddenly rushes towards the temple, as if a powerful force is closing in. The memory continues, revealing a horde of grotesque creatures rushing forward with mindless aggression. A colossal beast leads the charge, its terrifying screech echoing as it descends upon the temple. The flashback is interrupted as another monk bursts in, desperately trying to snap Myongjin out of his trance. Myongjin turns to his fellow monk, questioning the reason for his frantic, late-night intrusion. The panicked monk urges him to hurry, insisting they must evacuate the abbot immediately. A look of pure terror freezes on the monk's face as he senses an imminent threat. In the memory, a monster looms directly behind the terrified monk, ready to strike. The creature's massive, tooth-filled maw opens wide, promising a swift and brutal end. Snapping back to the present, Myongjin coldly concludes his demonstration, his expression dark and troubled. Dongsu can only stare, utterly confused and concerned by the monk's intense and disturbing display. The instructor concludes the briefing, ordering the candidates to move to the dungeon with their assigned supervisors. He offers a less than reassuring farewell as the candidates are whisked away on buses into the night. Their destination is revealed, a colossal, glowing portal tearing a hole in the middle of a ruined city street. The candidates are aggressively rushed from the buses, their instructors barking orders to move immediately. On the bus, their team's supervisor prepares them for the mission. While Dongsu nervously checks his gear, the supervisor smirks, clarifying that he's just a spectator and that poor individual performance will still lead to failure. Dongsu anxiously questions the supervisor, asking for a safety net given their team's smaller size. His question is met with a cold, dismissive smirk as the supervisor simply orders them to proceed. With that non-answer hanging in the air, the supervisor takes the first step off the bus. Suho, however, rises with a fearless grin, stepping forward to lead his visibly shaken teammates. Dongsu awkwardly tries to hide his fear, insisting he's not scared in the slightest. Suho, ever practical, cuts through the tension to ask if they can use their personal weapons. From the front of the bus, the supervisor confirms that personal equipment is permitted. Dongsu's mind reels once more, now suspecting the monk also possesses a rare, pre-exam dimensional weapon. Outside, officials systematically funnel the groups into the portal, calling their team forward. With a confident grin, their supervisor gives the final command to enter the dungeon. A crackle of energy envelops the team as they are teleported through the gate. A lone silhouette stands at the entrance of a dark, swirling cavern filled with unsettling noises. Suho immediately takes the lead, striding into the unknown and making his teammates nervous. Panicked by his partner's boldness, Dongsu frantically warns him to watch his surroundings. Dongsu instantly regrets his outburst, slapping a hand over his mouth in a panic. His mind races with the consequences, knowing his careless shout just cost them precious points. Just as feared, a skeletal monster emerges from the darkness, but Suho stands his ground. Without a moment's hesitation, Suho lunges forward and seizes the creature by its skull. With a single, devastating motion, he completely shatters the monster's head. The skeletal creature is reduced to nothing but crumbling fragments falling through the air. Dongsu watches in awe, finally understanding Suho's brilliant tactic of luring the monster into a trap. Catching up to his partner, Dongsu urgently asks if he's using the search skill to see in the pitch-black cavern. Suho glances back with a calm, almost puzzled expression, as if the question doesn't make sense. As he takes another step, his foot lands squarely on a glowing tile, triggering an unseen mechanism. Suho whips around in surprise, realizing his mistake far too late. A mechanical screech echoes from above, putting both candidates on high alert. Dongsu's face contorts in terror as he realizes they've triggered a booby trap. A deadly volley of arrows suddenly rains down on them from the darkened ceiling. Without hesitation, Suho spins into action, moving to intercept the lethal projectiles. His eyes narrow with intense focus, a plan already forming in the split second he has. The memory cuts to a massive explosion, rocking the foundations of the ancient temple. A monstrous beast is thrown back by the blast, surrounded by sparks and debris. Myeongjin is revealed to be the source of the power, fiercely battling the creatures swarming his home. In the past, he throws himself over his terrified companion, shielding him from the collapsing building. The memory continues, showing the younger monk weeping, blaming himself for the temple's destruction. His anguish seems to unleash a devastating explosion that rips through the attacking monsters. Cutting back to the present, Suho executes a flawless spinning strike, batting away every single arrow. The once lethal projectiles fall uselessly to the ground, their threat completely neutralized. Dongsu is left speechless, utterly floored by his partner's incredible spear-wielding prowess. As Suho lands, however, his foot presses down on another glowing tile, activating a second trap. The floor gives way, sending the entire team plummeting into a dark chasm below. A heavy stone slab rumbles as it begins to slide into place above them. The trapdoor slams shut, sealing them inside the pitch-black pit. Before they can even react, a fresh volley of arrows comes speeding towards them from a new direction. The team lands hard at the bottom of the pit, with Dongsu audibly wincing from the impact. Sprawled on the rocky floor, Dongsu sarcastically laments their great predicament. He spirals into despair, questioning if this is where his lifelong dream comes to an end. As the pit rumbles, the arrows from the previous trap stand as a grim reminder of their peril. A sudden flash from a nearby tunnel snaps Dongsu's attention, his eyes widening in alarm. The tunnel continues to shake and emit unsettling noises, signaling an approaching threat. Dongsu realizes with horror that their fall has likely alerted every monster in the vicinity. Suho casually explains that his awakened skill has a wide aggro effect, intentionally drawing all enemies to them. His partner is left speechless, struggling to comprehend the implications of such a powerful ability. Suho, however, is perfectly content, remarking that this saves him the trouble of hunting them down. Suho expresses his satisfaction, preferring the enemies to come directly to him. His partner, however, is left completely baffled by this insane logic. Suddenly, the monk slams into the ground with enough force to shatter the stone floor. Dongsu stares in disbelief, shocked by the monk's explosive entrance. Another teammate watches in awe, impressed by the monk's incredible power. The monk lands with a solid thud, perfectly balanced after his powerful descent. Acknowledging his skill, Suho casually extends an invitation for the monk to join his clan. The monk is taken aback, flustered by the completely unexpected recruitment offer. Their conversation is cut short as a massive horde of skeletal monsters charges out of the tunnel. Suho turns his gaze towards the approaching army, his expression hardening for the fight ahead. Suho's eyes glow an intense blue as he activates his search ability. His vision transforms into a digital grid, locking onto the approaching horde of monsters. The skeletal army lets out a silent, terrifying roar as they surge forward to attack. Without a word, Suho plants his foot and prepares to meet the enemy head-on. He explodes into motion, blurring past his teammates as he charges directly into the undead swarm. Dongsu can only watch in terror, convinced that this reckless charge is a death sentence. Suddenly, a long staff slams into the ground right before him, offering an unexpected lifeline. The monk calls down from above, urging his panicked teammate to grab hold of the staff. Dongsu steals his nerves and grabs on, convincing himself this is all part of Suho's master strategy. The monk uses the staff like a lever, swinging Dongsu through the air and smashing the weapon into the ground with immense power. The monk's powerful strike sends a shockwave through the horde, shattering skeletons into pieces. Dongsu and his companions stare in disbelief, completely overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the destruction. The monk effortlessly dispatches a straggler, ordering his new allies to mop up and advance. Inspired by his power, the two candidates rush to follow, with Dongsu marveling at the monk's incredible fighting prowess. With fluid grace, the monk becomes a whirlwind of destruction, his staff obliterating every monster in his path. The other teammate realizes the monk's genius, deducing he's using the dungeon's own traps against the monsters. A sudden, horrifying thought flashes through the teammate's mind as he watches the battle unfold. While the monk is distracted, a uniquely colored skeleton creeps up on him from behind, ready to strike. The monk is caught completely off guard, his body jolting from a sudden, powerful blow from the shadows. The skeletal creature's hand pierces straight through the monk's chest, in a devastating surprise attack. As the monk is struck, his teammates are shown fighting for their lives in another part of the pit. One of the candidates executes a powerful sliding kick, shattering the bones of an approaching skeleton. The scene suddenly shifts, with a system notification confirming the dungeon clear and the acquisition of points. Back at the monitoring station, officials are stunned to learn a team is returning after only 30 minutes. A senior officer expresses his disbelief, noting the dungeon's average clear time is 5 hours and suspecting an accident. The operator confirms the impossible, it's Suho's team emerging from the dungeon gate. Just as the confusion peaks, The senior officer's phone begins to vibrate with an incoming call. He answers with a stern tone, demanding to know why the team has returned so early. Suho calmly reports from the other end of the line that the mission is already complete, leaving the officer speechless. His teammate smirks, confident that his own one-of-a-kind performance will be legendary once the footage is reviewed. The scene shifts to a bustling city street, where one of Suho's teammates walks with purpose. He turns to the camera, revealing he's filming a vlog to document the Suho clan's daily life. The vlogger teases his audience with a glimpse into the clan's recent housewarming party. He proudly presents the Suho clan's headquarters before beginning to introduce the members. First up is their cook, an elderly woman named Granny Sukya, whom he asks to greet the viewers. The granny responds with a terrifying glare, her knife glinting as she delivers a chilling threat. The vlogger barely holds his composure, sweating profusely as a drop of blood appears on his ear. He nervously dismisses her intensity for the camera, while a child at a nearby table questions the grandmother's harsh words. Changing the subject, he points the camera towards a golden Buddha statue, building suspense about its owner. With a flourish, he introduces the statue's owner, the monk Myunjin, master of the spear and wide area aggro. The vlogger bursts in, greeting Suho and the monk, who are already enjoying a meal. He pans the camera to the monk, formally introducing Myunjin to his audience. Myunjin looks flustered when the vlogger puts him on the spot for a message to the subscribers. His mood shifts as he begins a solemn speech about his past and the spear his brother left him. The dramatic monologue is cut short by the sound of a truck screeching to a halt outside. A third teammate leans out of the truck's window, announcing that their ride is ready. With determined expressions, the trio rushes out of the restaurant, eager to start their mission. They ride in the back of the truck, a large drone hovering above them as they speed down a road. Suho eyes the drone suspiciously, but his teammate clarifies it's for filming their adventure. The vlogger announces their destination to the camera, a quest at Gate 30 in District 4. The vlogger points to a distant blue portal, announcing the Suho clan's very first dungeon quest. He winks at the camera, promising his subscribers an incredible video thanks to his image memory skill. Upon entering the dungeon, the team is met by a massive, screeching swarm of bats. The vlogger asks Suho about his long-range skills, only to learn he doesn't have any. He grows worried, questioning how they are supposed to hunt so many flying creatures. The monk calmly steps in, telling the others to leave the aerial threat to him. Suho and his teammate look on with confusion, wondering what the monk intends to do. Myunjin begins his plan by striking a large, drum-like object with his staff. He then kneels and repeatedly slams his staff into the ground, unleashing a powerful, resonating energy. The shockwaves create a massive vortex in the sky, pulling the entire bat swarm into its powerful grip. The vlogger is stunned as the monk's rhythmic drumming pulls the entire bat swarm into a swirling vortex. Agitated by the resonating sound, the monstrous bats screech in a disoriented frenzy. The entire swarm coalesces into a single, terrifying mass and hurtles directly towards the team. With unwavering focus, the monk braces himself for the incoming aerial assault. He stands as a lone beacon, successfully drawing the full, undivided attention of the bat horde. A particularly fearsome bat with glowing red eyes leads the charge, its shriek echoing through the cavern. Myunjin counters by unleashing a spinning wheel of fire, incinerating the front lines of the swarm. From the inferno, the dungeon's massive bat boss finally reveals itself, spreading its enormous wings. Suho suddenly launches himself forward, delivering a devastating longsword strike to the giant beast. With a final, triumphant blow, the vlogger finishes off a straggler, confirming the mission is complete. After the battle, the team sits atop a mountain of defeated bats, diligently harvesting their valuable bloodstones. Meanwhile, the vlogger's livestream explodes with comments from astonished viewers praising the team's record-breaking speed. In a sterile office, an unseen official clicks through the footage of the Suho clan's exploits. A female officer lets out a weary sigh as her colleague approaches her desk to discuss the team's sudden fame. He reports that the trio is tearing through dungeons at an unprecedented rate, clearing up to 20 a day. The vlogger's channel has blown up, with a video about Suho's rise attracting thousands of comments and subscribers. The female officer expresses her frustration, revealing she tried to keep their activities quiet but didn't account for a vlogger in the group. Her colleague warns that Suho's videos are trending and they need a strategy before the situation escalates further. She agrees, her expression shifting as something on her monitor catches her eye. A news alert about a fighter named Hero challenging a champion named Jorbas gives her a sudden idea. The news report details fighter Mikhail Jorbas' latest victory and his public challenge to Japan's champion, Okita Hero. The officer's thoughts connect the champion Hero to another formidable individual named Seung-Lee. She recalls the overwhelming power of Seonu Lee, an SS-ranked irregular from Korea, wreathed in destructive energy. Her colleague expresses concern, fearing a repeat of a past catastrophe if they approach Suho incorrectly. Undeterred, she walks away with firm resolve, ordering her subordinate to set up a meeting with Suho. She then declares her intention to handle the meeting personally, her expression filled with determination. Meanwhile, the Suho clan's headquarters is transformed into a popular local spot, drawing a massive crowd. Inside, the remaining team members notice that the monk, Myeonjin, is absent for the day. Suho looks puzzled, wondering where the monk could have gone, as he believed Myeonjin had no temple to return to. The vlogger explains Myeonjin is visiting other surviving monks, causing the team to worry about hunting without his skills. His teammate suggests Suho also take a break, assuring him the clan has qualified for a level update. The vlogger is stunned to learn they've earned a massive sum, enough to start tackling level 2 dungeons. He grins greedily, already dreaming of the even greater riches that await them in higher level dungeons. Suho quietly processes this news, a thoughtful and slightly confused expression on his face. The vlogger marvels at his new wealth, as a strange status window reveals his identity and class. Suho realizes his new skills have unlocked an ability to see these status windows on people. Agreeing to a day off, Suho's decision is met with cheers from his excited teammates. As his teammate plans a family outing, Suho's vision reveals a startling detail: his record can't be found. His eyes narrow with suspicion as he realizes this anomaly isn't a one-off occurrence. Back at home, he discovers his grandmother and even her dog also have no records. Deepening the mystery, Suho seriously contemplates whether animals like his dog can also be awakened. He shifts his focus to his teammate, Junho, who approaches him in the office. Suho asks about his friend's truck, and Junho complains about the exhausting repairs. With a confident grin, Suho offers to buy him a brand new, top-of-the-line truck. Junho is absolutely floored, his face lighting up with pure, unadulterated joy. Suho calmly confirms the offer, his newfound wealth making it an easy promise to keep. He decides to bring Beku along for the shopping trip, and the little dog barks in excitement. At a dealership, a salesman presents a massive blue truck, a model Junho recognizes as a hunter's ultimate dream car. The salesman pitches the vehicle, highlighting its bloodstone-powered engine and cost-effective price. With Suho smiling behind him, Junho enthusiastically confirms that he absolutely loves it. Suho coolly informs the salesman they're paying in cash and driving the truck out today. They immediately take their new ride for a spin, tearing through a desolate, overgrown city. Junho is overjoyed at the wheel, exclaiming how the new truck is a massive upgrade as Beku barks in agreement. Suho calmly agrees from the passenger seat, noting they should have bought one much earlier. As they drive, Junho grows curious, questioning why they're heading towards a restricted area. Suho turns to his friend, pointedly reminding him that money was the only thing holding him back from awakening. Confused, Junho listens as Suho reveals his plan to get him awakened that very day. A look of quiet resolve settles on Suho's face as he commits to helping his friend. Junho is left utterly speechless, his mind reeling from the sudden, life-changing offer. The truck screeches to a halt, arriving at their mysterious destination in the abandoned district. A low rumble echoes from a nearby derelict building, hinting at the danger within. Junho nervously swallows, his fear palpable as he stares at the ominous structure. Even the small dog, Beku, senses the threat, letting out a low, menacing growl. Suho, however, remains composed, calmly identifying the distinct scent of goblins in the air. Overcome with terror, Junho pleads with his friend to turn back and abandon the risky plan. Ignoring the plea, Suho's hand reaches for the door handle, ready to exit the truck. He steps out onto the cracked pavement, instructing Junho to stay put with Beku. A panicked Junho reaches out, desperately trying to stop his friend from facing the danger alone. In a blur of motion, Suho vanishes from sight, leaving only a cloud of dust in his wake. Junho is left utterly speechless, staring in awe at the spot where his friend just stood. In another part of the city, a sinister-looking loan company operates out of a dreary building. Inside, the company's boss and his men watch a video of Suho, identifying him as a recent internet sensation. The underlings grow nervous, realizing that as an irregular, Suho's power is immeasurable, making him an impossible target. Refusing to be deterred, one of the men insists they must find a way to act against the rising hunter. The boss changes tactics, demanding a list of indebted guilds under his control in District 4. The mention of a certain Mr. Choi sparks a devious idea in the boss's mind. They recall this Mr. Choi as a ruthless mercenary, notorious for his efficiency and for handling difficult jobs. A sinister grin spreads across the boss's face as he orders his men to hire the mercenary, sparing no expense. As the plot is set in motion, a storm breaks and thunder cracks across the sky. The thunder is followed by a sudden, heavy downpour that drenches the urban landscape. Caught in the downpour, Suho's grandmother trudges home, muttering about her ruined laundry. Suddenly, a sleek black car glides to a stop right beside her on the wet pavement. She turns to face the vehicle, her expression unreadable as she waits. 3 sharply dressed individuals emerge from the car, addressing her by her full name, Sukili. The lead agent flashes an official RCD badge, explaining they've come to speak with her grandson, Suho. Her gaze hardens, a silent and steely resolve settling over her features. As if on cue, a brilliant fork of lightning tears through the dark, stormy clouds. Meanwhile, back in the abandoned district, the heavy rain continues to lash down on the new blue truck. Anxious and alone in the truck, Junho realizes a full half-hour has passed with no sign of Suho. Even Baku senses the prolonged danger, baring his teeth in a low, menacing growl. Junho's anxiety mounts, his expression grim as he waits alone in the truck. His thoughts are shattered when a goblin's grotesque face smashes against the window, causing him to recoil in terror. The creature's bloodied hand slides down the glass as it collapses, leaving Junho and a frantic Baku in stunned silence. Suddenly, the driver's side door clicks open, breaking the tense atmosphere inside the cab. Junho's eyes widen in disbelief at the sight of the person standing in the rain. Suho, drenched but unfazed, calmly gestures for his friend to exit the vehicle. Junho could only stare, utterly bewildered by Suho's sudden return, while Baku barks beside him. Outside, the source of the commotion is revealed. A defeated goblin lies at Suho's feet in the pouring rain. Just as they process the scene, another goblin lets out a furious roar and charges at them through the downpour. Junho instinctively flinches away, his face a mask of pure panic at the sudden attack. A sleek black dagger suddenly lands point first in the wet ground right before Junho. Suho, completely unfazed by the rain, commands his friend to take the weapon and finish the job. Kneeling in terror, Junho grips the dagger, begging Suho to reconsider this insane plan. Suho glances back, his calm demeanor a stark contrast to his friend's panic. With tears streaming down his face, Junho desperately asks if awakening is truly necessary. Suho delivers a harsh truth, reminding him that the weak don't survive and presses him to act. A wave of defeated resignation washes over Junho's face as he processes the ultimatum. The enraged goblin continues its charge, its monstrous maw open in a terrifying shriek. In a surprising show of courage, Baku barks fiercely at the hand of the fallen goblin. Inspired by his pet's bravery, Suho gives Baku the command to join the fight. Without hesitation, Baku leaps into action, barking furiously as he charges through the rain. The small dog bravely sinks his teeth into the goblin's arm, causing the monster to shriek. Enraged, the goblin retaliates, its massive hand easily snatching Baku out of the air. Suho calmly states that Baku is too young for this fight and will perish unless Junho intervenes. Tears stream down Junho's face as he continues to plead with his friend, begging for another way. Backlit by a flash of lightning, Suho roars a final, desperate command for Junho to kill the creature. With trembling hands and ragged breaths, Junho's gaze falls upon the dagger, his resolve hardening. The goblin lets out a pain shriek, its jaws closing in on the struggling Baku. A strange power flickers in Junho's eyes as he lets out a primal scream, raising the dagger high. He brings the weapon down with full force, plunging it deep into the monster's head. The goblin's grip loosens, dropping a whimpering Baku onto the wet pavement. Fueled by a surge of adrenaline, Junho roars, demanding to strike again. He unleashes a furious and repeated assault on the fallen monster. With a tight grip, he drives the dagger home one last time, ending the struggle. The now bloody dagger clatters onto the rain-slicked ground. Junho stands over the creature, gasping for breath, the rain washing over his exhausted frame. He stares down at his hands, now covered in the evidence of his violent act. The reality of his actions sinks in, his face twisting in dawning horror. Suho's voice cuts through the rain, calmly ordering him to retrieve the weapon. Completely spent, Junho confesses he can't bring himself to do it. Suho delivers a chilling ultimatum, explaining that in this new world, one must kill to survive. Undeterred by the danger, Baku continues to bark fiercely in the rain. Junho stares in disbelief, his mind reeling from the brutal reality of the situation. His shock is interrupted as another small goblin emerges, with only Baku standing in its way. Suho turns away, ordering Junho to deal with the new threat and follow him quickly. He then walks off into the downpour, leading Junho to face the monster alone. A stunned Junho watches him depart, the feeling of abandonment washing over him. The moment triggers a painful memory of being surrounded and tormented by bullies in school. In the flashback, a younger Suho walks past the scene, completely ignoring his friend's plight. The memory shows a helpless Junho on the ground, desperately reaching out for the friend who abandoned him. The memory of Suho abandoning him echoes with a desperate cry in Junho's mind. Back in the present, Suho's figure disappears into the rain-soaked alley. A pain whisper escapes Junho's lips as the reality of his friend's character sinks in. His expression hardens, sorrow replaced by a grim and steely determination. He turns his focus to the twitching goblin, knowing he must now face this threat alone. With a firm grip, Junho picks up the bloody dagger from the wet ground. The small goblin lets out a furious shriek, its monstrous mouth wide open. Junho stands his ground, preparing to confront the creature as it scurries towards him. He grimly accepts that his friend has always been this way, forcing him to be strong. As lightning flashes, Junho lunges forward, splashing through the puddles to strike the monster. With a furious cry, he plunges the dagger deep into the goblin's head. His eyes burn with a crimson light, his face a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. To silence its pain shrieks, he forces his fist and the blade further into its maw. A grimace of exertion twists his face as he puts all his strength into the attack. Enraged by its continued struggles, he yanks the dagger free for another strike. With a powerful overhead swing, he brings the blade down on the staggering monster. The blade finds its mark, landing a devastating blow directly on the creature's head. Now completely consumed by battle frenzy, he repeatedly drives the dagger into the fallen monster. He channels all his fear and rage into each strike, determined to ensure it never gets up again. As lightning illuminates the sky, his desperate cries for the creature's end echo in the storm. The frenzy subsides, leaving Junho kneeling over the fallen creature as he gasps for air. Rain washes over the scene, mixing with the evidence of his brutal victory. A shadow falls across his face, but a dark, unsettling smirk begins to form. As lightning flashes, it illuminates his crazed and triumphant expression. Reveling in his newfound power, his moment is cut short as another small goblin dashes through the rain towards him. Startled, Junho turns just in time to see the new threat bearing down on him. The creature screeches and lunges, forcing him to raise his dagger in a desperate defense. He stumbles backward from the impact, losing his footing and crashing into a puddle. Suddenly, a colossal, shadowy monster looms over them both, dwarfing the smaller goblin. A close-up reveals the massive creature's eye, gleaming with a terrifying and predatory grin. The colossal monster instantly dispatches the smaller goblin in a shower of gore. Junho can only watch in stunned silence, his mind screaming at the sheer brutality. With a final, decisive move, Suho finishes off the creature that had attacked Junho. He calmly steps away from the scene, unfazed by the carnage he just created. Suho walks through the rain, reflecting on the grim sensation of his blade meeting flesh. A flash of lightning reveals his cold expression as he recalls the monster's desperate pleas. His attention is suddenly drawn to a mysterious figure observing him from a nearby rooftop. A holographic window materializes before Junho, officially classifying him as a level F1 butcher. The figure on the roof smirks, clearly entertained by Junho's new, grisly title. From his perch, the stranger mockingly asks if Junho has prior experience in a slaughterhouse. Junho glares up, his face streaked with rain and gore, silently refuting the stranger's taunt. Unfazed, the man on the roof, revealed to be Suho, beckons for Junho to join him. A dark, unsettling smile spreads across Junho's face as he agrees to the invitation. Suho turns to leave the rooftop, overlooking the rain-soaked alley now filled with fallen creatures. The scene shifts to a large, imposing building, a safe haven from the storm outside. Inside, a clean Suho and a disheveled Junho stand before an official-looking desk. A woman in a uniform eyes them nervously, cautiously offering her assistance. Suho calmly informs her that his companion has just recently awakened his powers. The receptionist directs Junho to wash up before proceeding to a screening and grading room. While heading up the stairs, Junho questions Suho about the meaning of this grading. Suho explains that a score of 100 on the dimensional energy test is the bare minimum to become a hunter. He then admits his own score was a paltry 96, casting doubt on Junho's chances as they walk. They arrive at the grading lab, where an official instructs Junho to get on the machine. Now in a specialized suit, Junho lies down as the device powers up, crackling with energy. A brilliant flash reveals his score, a surprising 111, well above the required threshold. Having passed, Junho is directed to the next room while Suho observes with a thoughtful expression. A lab technician then offers Suho a chance to retake the test himself. Suho confidently takes his place on the machine, ready for his own evaluation. A subtle, knowing smirk plays on his lips as the machine whirs to life around him. As the test begins, a mysterious entity with countless eyes observes him, its system recording his data. A brilliant flash of energy erupts from the machine, enveloping Suho completely. The test concludes with a final surge of power, signaling the measurement is complete. The screen blazes to life, displaying an astonishing score of 189. Even Suho seems taken aback, his body tense with the residual energy of the test. The technician marvels at his incredible growth, predicting a swift promotion to E rank. With a knowing look, Suho inquires about the origins of the powerful testing device. The technician casually dismisses his question, attributing the machine's creation to scientist. Suho's expression grows serious, his mind clearly doubting her simple explanation. Later, Junho is presented with his official Awaken ID card and a new phone. The receptionist congratulates him, explaining he is now eligible for the Hunter exam. Suho offers a simple congratulations, which Junho accepts with a weary thanks. Suho then probes, asking if Junho experienced anything strange during the test. But Junho felt nothing. Suho muses that he might just be more sensitive, prompting Junho to ask about his own awakened skill. With a grim look, Junho reveals his ominous-sounding skill, execution. As they walk on, a squad of elite-looking hunters passes by, led by a woman with striking blonde hair. Suho's expression suddenly shifts to one of confusion. He suddenly dashes after the group, shouting for the attention of the blonde woman. The woman turns around, her gaze cool and questioning as she acknowledges his call. Her subordinates are visibly annoyed, questioning if this newcomer has a death wish for addressing their captain so casually. Suddenly, one of the men recognizes him, his shock revealing that the newcomer is the infamous Suho Park. Suho offers a charming apology, admitting he's not used to civilized conversation. The captain coldly dismisses him, making it clear she never wants to see him again. As she walks off, her subordinates mock her for shutting down the infamous Suho Park. Suho simply watches her go, wondering if her rejection is just an act. Annoyed, the captain glances back, while her team questions the reason for his apology. Junho senses a history between the two as the squad continues to tease their captain. The blonde captain's patience snaps, and she furiously orders her men to move out. Suho smirks, remarking that her fierce temper suits her reputation as the pack's leader. Later that night, a car pulls up to a building marked as the headquarters of the Suho clan. Inside, two individuals share a toast, clinking their cups in a silent agreement. A woman with a black bow in her hair savors a cup of strawberry liquor, praising its amazing taste. An elderly woman notes her guest's tolerance, revealing the drink was a final creation of her late husband. Taking another sip, the younger woman curses the monsters, believing they deserve their fate. The older woman smiles warmly, appreciating her companion's blunt and fierce attitude. They enjoy a delicious fish cake soup, the perfect accompaniment to their drinks. Just as the woman wonders about Suho's tardiness, the sound of a bell announces a new arrival. Suho and Junho step inside, with Suho looking slightly puzzled by the scene. A young boy excitedly rushes forward, calling out for his father and a small white dog. The boy, Jenu, happily greets Junho, who asks if he enjoyed his day. The woman with the bow turns to greet Suho, who stands before her without a word. Suho cautiously asks the woman to identify herself. The woman is revealed to be Miso Kim, a high-ranking level 8 individual. She confirms her identity as Captain Miso Kim of the RCD Return management team. Miso calmly explains her purpose. She's here to offer him a contract. Suho is taken aback by the unexpected offer of a contract. Miso tests his knowledge, asking if he knows the official designation for a returnee. Suho admits his ignorance with a straightforward denial. She reveals their official title is Coordinate Human. The strange term leaves Suho completely baffled. She explains that returning through a crimson portal fulfilled a crucial requirement, marking his success. Suho remains unimpressed, questioning the significance of this revelation. Miso explains the portal will become a bridge between worlds, prompting Suho to ask where it will appear. A single finger extends, pointing with absolute certainty. She aims her finger directly at Suho, identifying him as the portal's anchor. Suho is left completely baffled by her cryptic gesture. Miso clarifies that the portal will manifest near the coordinate, which is Suho himself. He thoughtfully considers the implications of being a living beacon. A memory flashes through his mind, sparking hope that he can reunite with his wolf pack. Miso drops another bombshell, revealing the RCD theorizes his world is the fourth new planet. She concludes that if they're right, Korea will hold the sole gateway to this uncharted territory. With a serious expression, Suho cuts straight to the point, asking when the portal will appear. Miso calmly informs him that they have a strict deadline, within 99 days. Suho's gaze intensifies as he demands to know what the RCD truly wants from him. She issues a firm command, forbidding him from leaving Korea until the portal manifests. Suho immediately challenges her authority, demanding to know the reason for this restriction. Miso reveals their primary concern is preventing him from becoming the next Seonuli. The name means nothing to Suho, who asks for the identity of this mysterious person. Miso realizes he's completely in the dark about the infamous Seonuli incident. She reveals that the world's #1 ranker, Okita Hero, is actually a Korean named Seung-woo Lee. Suho is stunned by the revelation that the most powerful hunter in the world is Korean. She recounts how the government initially detained her knees, hiding their imprisonment behind the lie of protection. Though only a D rank, Seong's power was too great for the facility, and his disappointment led him to accept an offer from Japan. She declares that Seung-woo is the very reason the gate to planet Hades now looms over Tokyo. Miso connects this event to the birth of the dimensional energy industry, a massive economic powerhouse. Bringing the point home, she warns that if his portal appears abroad, Korea will suffer a catastrophic economic loss. Now understanding his leverage, Suho confidently asks what he stands to gain from this deal. Playing his game, Miso returns a sly smile and challenges him to name his terms. As they negotiate, an unseen listener quietly approaches from the stairs. Suho lays out his ambitious demands: elevate the Suho clan to an official guild, and grant them exclusive territory. The listener is revealed to be a stunned Junho, crouching in disbelief at Suho's bold negotiation tactics. Miso asks for any final conditions, but Suho has one last crucial question. Unfazed by his demands, she confidently invites him to ask away. Suho wants to know if there will be any warning signs before the portal appears. Miso assures him the RCD will send their best agent, a specialist in detecting dimensional fissures. He remains skeptical, questioning the caliber of this supposed best agent. The scene cuts to a flashback of a smug man making a highly inappropriate proposition. His words trigger a memory of pure fury in the eyes of a blonde woman. That same woman, a powerful fighter, unleashes her rage with a devastating kick in a training room. Her colleagues watch in alarm, one wondering what set off her temper this time. Channeling electrical energy, she furiously regrets not having the man arrested for his unacceptable behavior. A colleague in a suit interrupts her training, questioning the source of her anger. The blonde agent dismisses her, clearly not in the mood to talk, but her colleague presses on. Losing her patience, she demands to know the reason for the interruption, only to be told she's needed for a trip. The agent's expression shifts, her curiosity piqued by the unexpected assignment.